It has begun. So I already have the link this time to for people to jump on the book with us.
Sweet.
It's already there. We're not doxing anybody. Boom.
Although I don't think that they can see it if they join after that.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, we have it saved.
Yes, we do.
Like so.
Indeed.
So we'll say...
Until we copy paste.
Join us. Join us. Boom.
Google gobble, Google gobble.
Okay, we'll see how well this stream is. Because your stream is healthy, it says. However, when I was doing it, it was not so healthy the other day. Wasn't so healthy the other day.
The other day.
Alright, so what I addressed last time was this. I went to the top of the book and I went down. So let's take a few minutes to do this, and let's start the actual "We Are Here." Let's say at like 7:30. So that gives us 12 minutes to address comments. Yep. All right. So suggest removing the redundant repetition of the system name.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. DreadLore, apply directly to the paper.
Right.
Directly to your gaming group.
So, yay or nay?
Welcome again to DreadLore, the Great Redux, the second edition of DreadLore. I think you could do more with like the Relapse in second edition.
Oh, it actually should be the Relapse. The Great Redux. It should actually DreadLore Relapse. Because that's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
The second edition of DreadLore.
That is better.
Okay, we're just going to resolve that.
Yeah.
No other systems were mentioned prior to this comment. This may refer to something cut in previous edit. That is totally true.
Alright, so let's delete it.
Okay.
Resolved. Remove.
We've pulled influence from many. We could probably remove all of this. However, you benefit, read this book with an open mind. This game's not about winning. Do you just want to get rid of this paragraph?
Sure.
Okay, you know, we went through this, and for some reason, it's not working. Okay, oh, one thing that I did, no, well, actually go a bit down here. So we did all this, modes of play. I talked a little bit about the modes of play, and how I'm not entirely married to it anymore. That said,
it's good as is.
Should be Relapse. Yeah.
We've gone back and forth.
Yeah. So let's see if I can find, right, this is worthy of example, world actions, add. So we have several tags in here that will be add or help. And eventually we should address those.
Right.
Maybe we can do that just as we go through. Or as a second pass, because there's far fewer of them.
We can address this really quickly. Example, a volcano erupts as the encounter begins. Every round begins with the world action of lava flowing closer to the combat.
Okay. Hey, say it again.
A volcano erupts as the encounter begins.
Okay.
Every round begins with the world action of lava encroaching ever closer to the combat, or to the party's combat, or something like that.
Son of a bitch.
Now, is encounter one of the ways that we break down things? Because if not, it should
No,
be.
it's not. It was. Because back in the day, an encounter was when you threw down, and the dread is when you didn't.
Mhm.
But now, an encounter, anything can be an encounter because you're always, and this is what I was talking about the modes of play, you're always in the dread. That's the game. When you use dice, you're throwing down. When you suspend bidding and throwing down, you're in the montage.
Right.
And that. I wish I could explain that in a way that makes more sense than modes of play.
That makes sense. There's another way to explain it without modes of play, but for modes of play that works. The argument for encounter as a term is one, it brings in more commonality with other systems and expectations, and it fills in that gray area with what scenes are, right? Because encounters, I never really liked the idea that an encounter was when you were throwing down and the dread was something else.
Uh-huh.
Because you can have dread encounters back in
Yes.
1. This is a 1.7 experience that we're talking about. But there's this idea that when you are in a test, you've encountered something that you have to confront, that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
That is a counter. It's an encapsulated experience. Otherwise, you're doing your shopping lists and things like that. So encounters are bounded significant moments during the play experience, during the game session. Whereas scenes can be several encounters. Like a scene might be the party running like marathon style through a scene of encounters that winnow down their resources, and they have to survive this escape from,
New York.
From Escape from New York.
You have an eyelash right there. It's lower. You got it.
I did get it.
Now it's in my eye.
Ah!
So I don't think it needs to be a game mechanic. Because let's say we make it bracketed. Well, this is actually something we're about to jump into that I was addressing last impromptu game talk. The idea of when to bracket something, because there's plenty of game mechanics that we don't bracket. Like, for instance, the dread. So I talk about that here in a second, and that's a conversation for a moment. But my point was, we bracket things when it's a DreadLore game mechanic, but also when it's something that can be quantified and impacts your stats, or impacts you in a numbers way, or it affects your agency. And the thing is, if we were to capitalize it, I could understand. Because then we are talking about we're talking about something that is encapsulated, that has to do with the game, not just you're encountering a door or encountering bad weather. At the same time, there's nothing in the game thus far that would warrant bracketed encounter, because we don't count anything by them. For example, how many encounters is a scene? Well, it's variable. Well, then why have encounter be a game mechanic? Well, what's the difference between now you're in an encounter and now you're not? Mechanically, nothing. The only difference is, are you in the dread, are you throwing down, or are you in a montage?
So what I'm hearing from you, taking it from a different perspective, one, it sounds like someone went down a rabbit hole about brackets,
2.5 hours.
About brackets.
It was big time.
Originally, and this is what I would stand by, because perhaps it has its flaws, but the idea of bracketed terminology, it was reserved specifically for things that it was reserved for words that had a definition specific to the game, and that was generally a mechanical concern. So round or world action, that means something different within the scope of DreadLore than it would outside of this book. And that keeps it nice and tidy. It opens the door of, well, where is that blurry line, right? Now, as far as encounter, what I'm really hearing from you is the idea of a concrete span of time of actions, like an encounter, indicates that there are moments in play that are not significant. You have a bounded experience of the encounter that is significant because there's an obstacle or something, versus something else that is, by definition, less significant and therefore perhaps should be skipped.
That makes sense, but there's no reason to have, like, for instance, in like a book, right? As in like a narrative book. You could talk about the prologue and the epilogue, right? And then you can divide up the actual story into chapters, or even sections, or whatever you want to do. These are ways of encapsulating the story, right? So if it's in the prologue, you're not going to read it with the same mindset as chapter 1. And if it's in the introduction or the foreword of the book, you immediately know what I'm reading, you know, how to frame it. Oh, this is the foreword of the book. It's not actually in the story, for example, right? All of that makes sense. And to take that analogy and put it on this, I would say those are capital words. I don't think they would be bracketed.
Well, capital words are for traits.
Well, okay, I went down that rabbit hole. Fully capital words. Fully capitalized words.
Block letters.
Block letters. That would be a great shift. We could call them that, because we actually do. We reference this in a second. Words that are capitalized.
Like proper nouns.
Like proper nouns. They work like proper nouns. They mean something. They're proper nouns. That's what they are.
The problem with proper nouns is that they don't stand out in the text.
Well, they do. They just don't if they're first in the sentence.
What I mean is, if you're scanning for things that are significant, proper nouns won't always catch the eye that is scanning through page after page looking for something. Brackets stand out. Block letters stand out.
Yep.
Bolded words, words that are different colors, they stand out.
Agreed.
Something that we had originally done were like the proper nouns and things were like red.
Yep. That was actually cool.
It was cool. It was also a pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass.
Not that bracketing and block lettering things isn't, but at least you can do those with hotkeys. So
I'm saying encounter itself. I don't think it's a game mechanic. I think you can talk about it in terms of, hey, this is a bounded experience for players, but I don't think anyone's going to have a problem understanding that. And it's not at all...
you say that, but someone who's never played an RPG wouldn't understand what it means by just telling them that it's an encounter. And the other argument that I would make is that it is part of that progression of bounded units of time, like turn, round, encounter, scene, world action, major action, minor action, all of those things in the book for consistency, because they're units of time.
Yeah.
They, arc, campaign, session, all of those things need to be formatted the same way.
I agree. I think encounter is not one of them.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Right. That is where we disagree, and I think that in that instance, we should just not have it as a term. Because it either needs to be with round and world action and turn and scene and all that, or we don't give it a special definition.
Well, and that's why I'm saying it shouldn't be given a special definition.
Right.
You have another eyelash right here. Wait, I did it backwards. Yeah. Now it's like bridge nose style. It's right there. I hate eyelashes. I mean, I like eyelashes, but I have contacts and they get in my eyes. It's awful.
I'm not worried about it.
Check this out. Now it's on the...
I hate it.
It's right there.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
I hate it.
A volcano erupts as the round begins. But round is exactly what you're talking about. Actually, round...
It's bigger than the round.
You mean, oh, I see what you're
Because
saying.
it can happen outside of rounds. For example, think about it this way. I ran a game called the Labyrinth game, alternatively called the Ball Sack Feet game, which is the thing you should never do.
I did not make that up. It's in the book.
Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty sure.
So, they were walking down a path through the forest. They had an encounter with the gate to get into this realm. They had an encounter in a cottage with a witch on this path. They had an encounter with bees on this path. They had an encounter with, like, the earth opening up to consume them on this path. The path had several encounters on it. In DreadLore, this was resolved in the dread and by throwing down. Because we played this game in DreadLore. But whether they were throwing down to resolve it or they were bidding traits to resolve it, these were distinct encounters that they overcame with the in the backdrop of the scene of being in the forest. So the forest was the scene, and there were several encounters within it. Those encounters, when they became an issue of throwing down, were turn-based and fell into rounds and initiative.
At the same time, this is 1.7 when we had initiative. And this is my point.
Initiative doesn't matter for this.
Exactly.
Well, you still have rounds and things. The idea of, it's like I added a term and now it's worse. Initiative doesn't matter in terms of encapsulating time or encapsulating an experience.
Right, I agree. But we're disagreeing on a fundamental idea, conceiving these time capsules. What I'm saying is to say, okay, well, what happened last game? How many encounters did you have? That doesn't exist in DreadLore.
It doesn't need to.
No, it doesn't. I agree. Now, you could say, oh, well, we did this, and then, let's bound it. Oh, we did this, and then we did this. So we probably had around, 3 encounters. But those are not terms. Those are not game terms. Well, that's what I'm saying. We shouldn't. I don't think we need to avoid the word encounter because it's lowercase. If they listen to what we're saying, they would know.
Anyone listening?
Predator power. Are you talking about verb?
Verbiage.
Yes.
Yeah,
What's up, man?
Hello.
Here's the link. Hi, Tim.
The long and short of it is, we're trying to decide if encounter needs to be a term.
Yep. And we went over our time.
Yeah, like within the second comment. This is why I don't do these lots. So, finishing this up.
Yep.
I don't care if it's a term or not. I think that if it's a term, it's a bracketed term. Because everything else is. And I think, well, as in everything else within rounds, scenes, those blocks, those encapsulated moments of time are bracketed terms.
I agree.
Because they have special meaning within the realm of the game. Yeah. And therefore, if encounter was a term, it should be bracketed.
Agreed.
In that we agree. Is encounter a necessary term for DreadLore? And I see what you're saying. DreadLore doesn't reward players based off of the number of encounters they have in a day or in a scene or whatever, or how many they avoid or what have you. We don't have CRs. We don't deal with any of that bullshit. So
there is no bullshit.
So again, with that, we agree.
Yeah.
It doesn't track them. I don't think that we need to track the number of encounters you deal with to make it worthwhile in terms of like, getting so many bananas or XP or whatever. I just looked at the mic as the camera. It's cursed. But I do think that when making modules, especially as a new arbiter, it is beneficial to know how many things you're spacing out that are obstacles in one way or another. Like, do you have like a radio host with dead air?
Mm-hmm.
How much dead air do you have in the play experience? When do you have the first combat of the campaign?
Right.
When do you have the first, like, Legend of Zelda style puzzle kind of thing? And I think defining that within the mechanics is worthwhile from an arbiter perspective. For the players, it doesn't really matter.
So, yeah, I see a point there. I see a point. From the arbiter standpoint, it would make sense. And especially as a way of pacing, I can see that. Yeah. I just don't think I think it works just as well to talk about encounters without it being a game mechanic term.
So it doesn't really have a special definition.
That's what I mean.
Let's move on.
Okay.
We agree.
Howdy.
What's that?
Hi, Timothy. I totally changed what it looked like. A volcano erupts as the party disembarks their transport ship. Everyone is undoubtedly surprised. Hey, we have a person. With a jack-o'-lantern. Anonymous pumpkin. Every round begins with the world action of lava encroaching ever closer to the party. I think it's fine.
That is much better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're just going through some of these suggestions. New time, 7:45. Okay. This seems like placeholder rule sets that are already described elsewhere. What to do? Us. What am I talking about? August 12th. Okay. This. So, I'm talking about moderate difficulty and fiendish difficulty.
We had talked about leaving that in place for now, just because it's mentioned elsewhere in the book, and if we want to address it, we should get through the book first.
Yep.
And then we can remove all references to it. But right now it's a question of, is it harmful? And if it is it harmful enough to be worth the time to go through and rewrite those things? And right now, I haven't seen anything to make me think that it's harmful.
Right.
It's... Yeah, right. I think it's fine.
This part
just needs to go ahead and be moved.
Okay, so I can do that later, or you can do it, whichever one.
Yeah.
I did move some stuff. These are ones that I didn't get to because I've been on the stream for like 3 hours. Only affects total number of successes. So this is bonus and penalty. This goes into what we were talking about.
This is all stuff I should handle off stream.
I know, but I just wanted us to be aware. As we go down through the rule sets of expertise, we will run into this because we already have. So what does bonus and reduce, or boost and reduce? Bonus and penalties. So, bonus additional grants you an additional, in addition to your throwdown. So that can be anything. It just means it adds something. Penalty means it takes away something. So as for right now, that's what we mean when we say bonus and penalty.
Right, but we did agree on stream that this is going to be changed so that it only affects the number of successes.
Only affects the total number of successes.
Yeah.
So that is what it's going to be.
Bonus and penalty add or take away from the total number of successes you get on a roll.
Right.
Okay.
I'll do that for my own brain. So I'm like, we canceled that.
Boosts and reductions. Change the die type for good or for ill. And then you've got the rerolls, mulligans, upper hand, and detriment, which is us trying to avoid saying the words advantage and disadvantage.
Correct. Although we came up with it beforehand. All right.
We did.
Yeah, we totally did.
We're just not WotC, and we don't want to deal with it.
Right.
Although plenty of other systems use it and they're not getting sued or anything.
Well, you can't fucking trademark whatever that is.
Yeah, that's true.
Hi, Megan. Okay, Cameron, please change these, please. He did not do it. Whatever.
No, he still can't do anything other than suggest.
I love his suggestions, though. Glossary up until here. By the way, there's a glossary. Clarify, Cameron, do stuff. Okay, so we've gone through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And we need to decide this stuff. Moving stuff, some rephrasals, rewording. That's all period of life, I think.
Yeah.
I wonder where the lexicon thing was. Okay, I want you to see the lexicon thing. Lexicon. Someday, this will load. Oh, there's one.
There it is.
Languages. This is Arbitr's Craft. What was it then?
There it was.
No, that was what I was talking about. This is at the beginning of the book.
Oh, you're talking. Just go to the beginning of the book.
I know. I just thought it was there. It was actually in the book is the thing. Oh, I changed this, by the way.
Nice.
The whatnots.
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
Here it is. Terminology. So, any fully capitalized words, what'd you call them?
Block, lettered. Any words in block format?
Any block format word. Any block formatted word. Okay, the main thing though was this, and we could probably reword this. And any word written in brackets. Represents a game mechanic. Game mechanics directly affect characters, stunned, period of life, bid. I will just go ahead and add round there.
We can clear that up. Any word written in brackets has a special definition within this game, and often represents a game mechanic. And I would get rid of game mechanics directly affect characters.
Yeah, the reason that I did... Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, but I like it. Because...
But not all game mechanics directly affect characters.
Indeed, read the next bullet point.
The next bullet point is capital words, so proper nouns and things, are used as normal and sometimes reference game terms that are not mechanical in nature but have a game function.
Such as action dice, aspect dice.
But that is not a reference to directly or indirectly affecting characters.
So why don't we bracket action dice and aspect dice? Because they are absolutely game mechanics.
They should be bracketed.
Well, we've gone back and forth several times on this. Like, a bunch. I know because I just undid all of the brackets on both of them.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's happened a lot.
We should.
And I don't think they necessarily do. Because, and this is from 1.7. This is from the inception of doing the terminology and format. Of wait a minute, do we bracket this or not? Because it's not clear.
Honestly, there was a point when you brought this back from China, and I just ran with whatever format you were doing, and I tried to be consistent with...
There's no consistency.
Yeah.
Because it's not consistent because it's not clear.
Right. So here's what I think this should read as. Any word written in brackets has a special definition within this game and often represents a game mechanic, right? What is a game mechanic? That's a different discussion.
I think it directly affects characters and what they do, but that's
so
the
a game mechanic is something that affects characters.
Yeah.
Okay. So, action dice. That is something that has a special definition within this game.
Yes.
And it would affect characters. This is the philosophy of, well, does it directly? How do we define directly?
Well,
It depends on what your definition of what is.
No, I'm not trying to define what is. And also, he got acquitted.
I'm not commenting on what actually happened.
This is my point.
I'm glad you got the reference.
Yeah, of course I got I was about to make the reference. If you open up a book and you see, the action dice, then you're a pud if you don't realize it's a game mechanic. You're like, oh yeah, action dice. Oh, yeah, I know exactly what those are. No, you don't, because action dice are only about the game. Duh. That's a duh. So I was like, oh, why aren't they bracketed? To be honest, I don't know why they're not bracketed, but I started thinking about things that weren't. For instance, brawn. Brawn wasn't bracketed. I used to make brawn bracketed. It's not bracketed. I used to make it capitals. You had a good example of why it's not capitals, because it's not a trait you bid.
Right.
That makes sense. But why isn't it bracketed? Because technically, brawn has a very specific game mechanic, mechanical meaning. It's specific to this game, but it's not bracketed. Why?
Because it doesn't have a special definition within the game. Brawn, we haven't changed the definition of. Well, what is brawn? Outside the game.
Strength.
What does it mean? What does it represent?
And someone
within
who
the
is
game?
brawny is strong.
Yeah. What is
brawn?
it?
I would say it's strength.
Yeah. What is it? Or like just general vigor, you know?
Sure.
What does it represent within DreadLore? When you think about a character with a high brawn, what does brawn mean?
Strength.
Yeah.
Constitution.
Hence the vigor.
Vigor's not necessarily constitution. In some games, vigor is strength, or potence, or whatever.
Yeah, you're vampiring out on me.
I am vampiring out on you.
Vigor can also be a reference to someone's vitality, their constitution.
Listen, the word making sense and us using it in a way that makes sense. That's why we chose the word. However, it's bracketed versus not bracketed. I made a clear definition here, or a much clearer way of saying it. It is a game term, but it's not mechanical. Meaning, you have brawn. That doesn't change. You have an action dice, or die. It doesn't change.
I think you're changing the definition of what a game mechanic is.
Yes.
It is mechanical because it's an aspect. Aspects, they're part of the crunch of the game and the throwing down and changing your derived trait, your derived attributes and statistics and things like that. Those are absolutely game mechanics.
Would you have?
But the difference is, and the reason why they're not bracketed, the reason why brawn isn't bracketed, because it means the same thing. The word brawn means the same, and what aspects of physical health and perfection that encompasses, we can argue about later. But brawn means the same thing in DreadLore as it means in the real world. So it doesn't have a special definition. It doesn't have any other expectations tied to it. It's brawn. It's a proper noun.
And it is a game term.
And it's a game term and a game mechanic. It's part of aspects.
I'm saying that a game mechanic is bracketed because it changes. Something either a character can do, or it's something that directly affects the character. As in, how they play their character, how they advance their character, these sorts of things. They're mutable things that occur. Whereas a game term, players don't change. Yeah. Like you don't lose your aspect. You don't lose your action. You can reduce it, but you don't lose it.
I don't think you need to lose it for it to be mechanical.
As we agree to disagree and move on.
I think we need to. We're already over.
All right.
I think that's a discussion we'll need to figure out off stream. Let's see what people are saying.
Nothing.
They're talking about difficulties.
Phoenix sounds badass and challenging. Agreed. I made it. Alright. Let me see. So we are here. I think you will come around, sir.
I just like the cleanliness of, is it specially defined or is it not? And the game term versus game mechanic seems like we're splitting hairs. So we'll see. It seems like branching that is not necessary. And we have a much cleaner built-in way to differentiate those two.
I still think you'll disagree. But maybe you won't change your mind. So, what I did do is change up these things, blah, 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 all the, how we messed, oh, right, we need to address something real quick, just to make sure I'm correct, because I actually had a question about it. It's with the subtypes and the types.
Okay.
Okay, right. So, I'm going to get some coffee. Read that if you will. I don't think I did the examples.
Yeah, we haven't touched those. Unless you did them. But if they had comments, they're gone now.
Yeah. Well, all the comment was we need to look at this.
Okay. So, this is going back to the... It seems like an unnecessary... We're letting you hash that out. Yeah, Megan, I agree. I agree. I think it does need to be clearly defined, just for our sanity, so that we can format this properly, but... Chapter 1, Mechanics at a Glance. So going back to the beginning of Module 4, which is Expertise, we were talking about it being a 3-step process. Although this is potentially deprecated, it may have been rewritten. I don't know what's new and what's old, because I wasn't there on the 24th. It's a 3-step process. You advance into a broad type, into a subtype, ranks associated with the subtype. If you want to learn alchemy, you advance into manuals of Theurgy, then use subsequent advancements to gain ranks within the Journal of Theurgy. No.
Talking shit about me?
Yep.
Fucking talking shit about me? Oh, you can suck my...
I was not. They said they're not commenting on our argument. They're going to let us sort that out.
Well, we are married.
We're going back to that. Damn it, I thought I got divorced.
No.
What am I going to do? I gave you half...
You can't leave me!
I gave you half my shit already. Leave me alone.
Do you want some saltwater taffy?
No.
Really?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
It's from Maine.
Oh, I've never had northern saltwater taffy. So...
well, my big question was...
Do you want me to rewrite these examples on stream?
No. It's not about the examples.
Okay.
It's about...
It's a 3-step process. It's right here. Broad type, subtype, and then you get the specific ranks, training, or manipulation.
Then I did it right. We're good. Resolve that. Okay, good. In that case, we can move forward.
Yeah. Why are they bracketed and bolded?
Because it's the first time you see it.
Ah. Okay.
If you see, the first time you see
I do like that.
any term, it's bolded, and then it's not anymore.
I do like that. In the PDF, we could even do like hyperlinks to the original, to like where it's defined. Or like to the glossary of terms at the end of the book or something. But that's something else. Okay, so we're good there then. This was perhaps deprecated, and then you added that. So that's something that we're still judging.
I did that so that we knew what I had done last game, or last stream.
Well, this was from the 12th, and you just...
I just did that, yeah.
Yeah, just to... so you added added us. So that's updated. That's updated. This is the already changed wording. Check prees. When in close quarters combat, shout so loud that it hurts and knock your foes off their guard. granting you a bonus success when attacking. Doing so too often in a scene causes you gain an other condition, such as going hoarse and rendering you only able to whisper. In this case, your continued use of battle cry could cause your voice to gain a more permanent injury. That looks good. So this needs to be a bonus success.
Do it.
That's that unification of language thing.
I agree.
Damage is, successes are damage because it's your successes versus the defender's successes. The difference is damage. So getting a bonus damage, it's the, and as far as this goes, I would do,
It's the only place we say it.
yeah, if I had my druthers, the bonuses would be phrased as in the order in which you would speak it. So thrust with the pointy end and stab your foe in a vital spot, granting you
Big ol'
one bonus
big ol'.
success.
Oh, do you want to concatenate those or no? Not. I think it's perfectly fine. I know last time I said it should be separate, but the thing is, if it is concatenated, then it makes me think, oh, wait, is it the same thing? Like, is it a new term?
Right.
But,
Well, we could address that.
okay.
Bracketed terms that are used in sequence are concatenated or merged into one bracket.
Right.
Honestly, that's a styling choice, and we can let our editor deal with that when we pay
Okay.
them.
Guys, know any good editors, let us
I
know.
don't care. I don't care if they're concatenated or not.
Okay.
But I like the idea of one and then so it written out, and then anything under 10 is parenthetical, and then so you grant you one bonus success. I like things to be written in the order that they would be read aloud. Because granting you a bonus one success, I get a bonus success. I get one success. Okay. Like they reorder that when they're processing the information. This is more accessible. In my mind.
I normally do that.
Okay.
I should say, I have done that throughout the book. We can easily do that. I'm fine with it.
Mm.
So styling, if you want to run it that way, fine.
So here's a question. Here's a question for you readers, and a question for you, Bill.
Would you call me Bell?
Bill, do you prefer? I called you Bill. I never call him Bill.
We'll see.
What?
Go on.
Oh, were you gonna check? You could roll the footage back. I called you Bill. Why would I call you Bell? Alexander Bell Graham here.
Actually, my family and my dad's side, the Scottish are the Grahams.
Oh, nice.
It's one of them things. You ain't the only Scot, Tim.
Statler and Waldorf.
Which one is who?
You guys should Thunderdome and do a DreadLore fans only. You mean a DreadLore only fans?
Oh, yes. All right, Stratler and Waldorf. Indeed.
Yeah.
But they were friends. Anyway, go on.
So, which one do you like? Bonus one success or one bonus success?
Oh, one bonus success is way better.
Okay.
I don't know why I said a bonus one success, because in my mind, in my
because it grants you a bonus.
Well, in my mathematical brain, that is incredibly explicit.
It grants you a bonus.
But it doesn't
a bonus
read well.
what? One success.
But right, it exactly.
Do you all have a preference? I actually would like to know which reading experience you all would prefer.
Right, this one, or I'm sorry, this one. When in close quarters combat, shout so loud that it hurts and knocks your foes off their feet, off their guard, granting you a bonus, one success when attacking, or
granting you one bonus success when attacking.
Right.
Which I need to add when attacking.
I'll do it.
But thank you. But yeah, the where do we put the number? Which one do you like more? Let us know in the comments down below. Like and subscribe.
Which format is best? A bonus. I'll forget. That's why I'm typing this.
Yeah.
Success or one bonus. Ooh, success. Okay. Let's actually start now. Where are we?
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
so there's this.
Unified
so
language
fix
across.
that.
Yep. You want to do it?
Yeah.
We can actually pull that back. I found the way in. I know how to get back comments.
By bidding an appropriate trade, a clerk attacks her foe savagely within a close range. Within close range.
Check it out. There's a whole thing about that.
With a close range attack and gains an additional 1. I see the merit for the way that you were ordering it, and honestly, I'm okay either way. But that is a question that I want to know from the people who are reading.
Agreed.
What works better for them.
Should be damage or success.
Shit. Thank you. All right.
I agree. I don't give a flying fuck which formatting it is. Just so much as we know.
Yeah, and that way we're consistent.
Right. Oh, close range. Ranges. We don't use them anywhere in the book, but Magicka.
Interesting.
And my big idea was this. My big old fucking idea was this. You can watch the live stream.
Don't?
You can. The first part is me talking about music and just dogging the shit out of this dude.
Oh no.
Anyway, doesn't matter. I second that second, granting you the bonus success. Oh, so they like the second one, so that's the one that you did.
Okay.
Okay, well, so I fucking change it.
All right.
And we don't have to change it now.
I do
We
love
can
it
change it
later.
later.
Yeah. I actually need to spend an afternoon catching this book up like you did.
But I will.
Resolve it.
I'm just gonna edit it.
Oh.
Change to this one, this format.
Boom.
Boom. This at us. Bam. Bam. Okay. Alright. So, we do use range increments.
In the Houses of Mastery.
In the Houses of Mastery. And elsewhere, through these powers we will. What I think is this. Saying... How to put it? I had it really good. But it really is a conversation. I don't think it's necessary to have game mechanics that address range. Because we don't use a grid. And when you use a grid, the mechanics are packed into manipulating a grid. We don't use a grid. Instead, we need narrative range increments. Now, we kind of have that, but not fully. And I think if my guess, my hypothesis, okay, I'm not saying I'm right, but I'm always right now, is we could just say point blank. That's here. And anywhere after that, you've got to spend successes. Well, how far can you get it out? Do I need 3 or 4? The arbiter tells you. That's it. It's dependent on the situation.
Yeah.
That's it. Are they a medium plus distance away? No one knows what it is anyway.
I'm hesitant to scrap the work that's been put into Magicka and these other things.
I'm kidding.
I need to go home. God, it's like 10 years all over. Like 7 years ago all over again.
It's
5. It's been 5 years.
It's been a long time.
No,
yeah, he did one of the
6
formats
years.
and I totally changed it.
I edited the entire book back when it was like 400 pages long by myself, and then it got undone and he didn't save the backups. You know, Will's an artist, and he's one of those people that writes a book the way it should be written, which is get your thoughts on the paper, before you forget, create the book and then worry about the hellscape nightmare of misspellings and formatting errors later.
The problem is...
Which was exactly the stuff that I just fixed.
Right. Right.
And there was a lot of good that came out of that, but it was something that upset me to no end.
Yeah, we reformatted this book, or I should say 1.7, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. There were. I mean, 1.7 was an entire reformat from Eric and I.
Yeah. Well, it really was.
You really did the format for 1.5.
So I did most of the formatting up through the system becoming DreadLore.
Yeah.
Because it was more or less you at the table together with my hands on the keys.
Yep.
And then me editing and everything in the downtime. When it became DreadLore, you know, the alpha that predated 1.0 and then probably to 1.5, like you said, I was doing all the editing. And right when I had the book, like, okay, within this iteration of the mechanics, the book reads well. It reads the way I intended it to, I should say. Well, maybe not.
It read like a manual.
It read like a manual, like an engineering manual. So, so it was at that point that I think, like, after you broke it up into the distinct modules and started rewriting everything and like changing the mechanics, that it really became you and Eric editing the book.
Well, that
and
was
like
done
you
before, but
and you like dragging me into editing like small bits at a time.
Yeah,
I was broken.
We made the book, Ben formatted it, I erased it, rewrote it. You ended up rewriting. It's like half the modules, because you did matching it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then I went back and redid it.
I did keep working on the book, but it was few and far between.
And then we did it again, and then we did it again.
He really did have to drag my feet everywhere.
It fucking sucked. Okay, Codex of Mastery. Thank you, Megan, for letting us know. Will, you are a Statler since he is a lot more talkative and opinionated. Come on. Waldorf was more quiet with just quick quips and jokes every now and then. Fair. You got a cooler name. All right.
Statler's a good name.
Tomes of Mastery. I'm going to make this bigger. Hope y'all don't mind me getting bigger.
We do need to fix the headings, the headers while we're in here.
They're correct.
Oh, you did it.
Until here, at least.
Okay. I know. So I was changing them up until here.
Yeah.
Let's bust out the navigation pane and
okay.
fuck up their view.
Can
we make this a little bit bigger?
Hold on. What? Oh, this thing?
I want to move it.
We can make it full screen.
I didn't want to make it full screen.
Oh.
I didn't want to go that way. May I have the mouse?
You may have the mouse.
How do I
take the mouse? Go to the green on the left. Yeah.
I see. I want to do this.
That. Okay.
That's all.
We can write down what they are.
Yeah.
That way we're not having to pop back and forth.
So we've got.
Is it not tone? Yeah, it is.
So this is correct.
Yeah, these should be all correct.
This is still normal text. The Codex of Mastery may have been the last one that we did.
I see what you're saying.
So this is 4.
I want to say it's... It doesn't matter. I was going to say you can...
These are the imported headings.
Yeah. I didn't realize what you were talking about. You actually don't have to highlight it. It does the entire line. If the cursor's there.
Oh, okay. Right on. I didn't realize. All
okay,
right.
Do you want to read it or you want me to?
Yeah, I'll throw down. Embiggen it. Make it bigger.
It has been biggened.
Tomes of Mastery reveal inscrutable secrets of the hero's craft, from learning to flourish one's sword to distract her foes, to commanding the attention of others with a powerful word. The heroes of Fjord.
No. Of is owned by the heroes.
God, the E looks wrong there, but it's worse without it.
Should we say the heroines? Fuck it, go on.
Well, they'd be theys.
Oh, whatever.
The heroes of yore have blown up your collective brains with their fucking awesome sauce. It's like
Guess who wrote that?
It's like Szechuan sauce.
Yeah.
All right. So you have the Tome of Philosophy, which is talking with your ass but making sense, and the Tome of Command. Your charisma kills people. That's it. That's all it is. So, with the Tome of Philosophy, the first discovery is the mind is infinite, and it gives you the disciplined mind trait, expertise trait. So you are able to rely on your disciplined mind when others reach for straws. Even under duress, you were able to clearly clear yourself of distractions and stay focused. Bidding any trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy grants you an additional 1 success, in addition to an extra die of throwing down, when performing actions which require mental concentration.
Okay, so this is one of those that you have to actually bid a trait from Tome of Philosophy for it to work,
Right.
which is a deprecated rule. Unless we want to go with it.
I think it adds a layer of complexity that I am not fond of. I like the idea that it's very clean cut. If you bid an expertise trait as an expertise trait, you get an extra die. If you bid any kind of trait as a character trait, then you get the extra success, or you get to take your major action without unimpaired, like normally. That is nice and clean, but it really limits what expertise can do. And you don't really run into that with Magicka expertise or Theurgic expertise, because Theurgic expertise, the marble making, the weird astronomy, the Magicka, those all give you very concrete, like, new shit. You can do this kind of magic.
If you
can
bid.
do this kind of magic, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, but you don't have to bid the expertise trait. You bid any trait.
Right, if you bid, just in general.
Well, truthfully, you can do it, and as long as your
Impaired.
action doesn't need to be a major action, as long as it's
True.
not changing the scene, you don't have to bid to do anything.
It's true.
If you're changing the scene, and let's be honest, if you're throwing Magicka around in the setting of DreadLore, it will change the scene if there's a witness.
There might be...
So it's kind of a moot point, but...
There might be something, and this could be a prerequisite that... I'm using prerequisite in a different way than we normally use it. Perhaps using Magicka is always a major action.
I don't think that's necessary. Because, well, for example, using Magicka always provokes the roll of a Chaos die. You're technically not throwing down.
Right.
That's weird gray area that I don't want to get mired into, and I don't think it's necessary.
At the same time...
Sort of like encounters unnecessary.
If Magicka is always considered a major action, that fits very nicely into the game mechanics. Because it says, okay, well, it is a major action, ergo, you gotta bid. If you don't, and you throw down, you're impaired. And you have a chaos die associated. Well, why? It's a major action.
Mm.
That's part of the rules. Now, there might be some weird exception in there that I'm not seeing, which is commonly the case. But it also puts a nice limit on Magicka. Because it's like, look, yeah, you can use it at any time, and it's super powerful, but you're throwing down major actions. For example, let's say you're stunned, or more often than not, it'd be bewildered.
Right.
If you're bewildered, you've got to bid an extra trait to take a major action. Meaning, if you want to take a single major action normally, you bid a trait to do it. If you're bewildered and you try to do something mental, you got to bid 2 traits to do it, and that sucks for mages. I'm not trying to stick it to the man for mages, but in a way, I'm trying to balance it, because for instance, in Tome of Philosophy, as it's written, this is incredibly limiting. Because how many traits do you get from Tome of Philosophy? 1.
You could get, at that point, 1.
You have 1. Unless you're the philosopher who has like all 8, and then you can do it
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, so you can do it 6 times. Whereas a mage can just be like, spells!
Yeah. I in spirit, I do not disagree with you.
I hate mages.
It does. The only caveat is that I don't think that it's worth it.
Kavit, please.
I don't think it's worth the effort to put that in the book. And here's why.
Go on.
How often have you had players use Magicka without bidding? Like in the sense where
Very
they
rarely.
weren't using it as a major action. I can't remember
Very
it,
rarely.
but yeah, I don't think it's necessary. It's going to be organic, right? What are you doing with Magicka? Oh, nothing. I'm just fucking around. Okay, great. Well, roll chaos, you moron.
Well,
Right.
I will say this though. I've had plenty of players, whether it's D&D or DreadLore, attempt to cast the fireball quietly, without in D&D without the meta magic for what is it? Quiet magic.
Silent spell.
Silent spell. In DreadLore, at one point you had quiet magicka. You don't have it right now. The idea is that magicka is always obvious.
Mhm.
It always affects things in a way that's like, holy shit, magic is happening. And I've had plenty of players.
Hence my point about it will always change the scene, and therefore,
So I that's actually a conversation we need to have when we have module 6. Yeah, module 6 is magicka. We can talk about it then.
yeah.
Right now, though, I say that this is probably deprecated language, and you can use any trait to do it. Because at the very least, it makes it more balanced with the other expertise.
I'm fine with that. Was there something above that did this too, though?
What does it actually do? I didn't even fucking look at it. It gives you success, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the game, it's actually pretty simple what the game does. You're getting
Make
successes,
this trait. That's
Oh.
damage, though.
and you're getting a d6 extra die.
Yeah, I think
So-
that these are fine.
You're getting the
But-
double extra die.
But attacking that rule as deprecated, I think, is the wrong approach. It was only is it worth having? And I think very clearly, it is worth having.
Okay.
Really, this is a question of, is this worth taking for players? Because you only get so many opportunities to use it. Right?
So, you're able to run your disciplined mind, bidding any trait gained from, grants you an additional success in addition to an extra die if throwing down when performing actions which require mental concentration. Okay, so
this is just if you bid expertise, if you bid these expertise traits as expertise, you get an extra success.
well, but this is unclear because the spirit of it is normally when you bid back in the day when you bid an expertise trait, you gained an extra die.
Which is still the case.
Yes, but it was only when you bid an expertise trait you got an extra die. Now it's if you bid. Oh no, that is still that.
Yeah.
It is still that. But is this an extra die? Or
No.
is it you get the extra die and you get an additional success?
Yeah, this gives you a bonus success. So basically what this tome of philosophy says is, hey, you're such a mentalist or a philosopher or you have such a powerful mind that when you're doing these mental tasks and you need the extra die, once you have this expertise, when you're getting your extra die, you also get a bonus success for
Right.
free.
Right.
Right, because you're only using these expertise traits for mental tasks. So it basically says if you spend any of these, you get an extra success on top of what you get for bidding.
Grants you an additional 1 success. Hey, which we should type 1 here, right?
One bonus success.
1. So
Yeah.
grants you 1
bonus success.
right here.
Yeah.
Bonus success.
In addition to the extra die, when throwing down, because the successes and extra dice don't matter if you're not.
Yeah.
Like honestly, top tip: bidding expertise traits when not throwing down is wasteful.
Although the reason that it said if is so that if you're not throwing down, you just gain an extra success with it. Why would you do that? I don't know. It wouldn't make any sense.
There was the idea that you throw down when one success isn't good enough.
Right.
So if you need 2 or more successes to succeed, then you're required to throw down.
But if you
So
did
potentially Disciplined Mind will let you bypass throwing down, but that's really granular, and I don't like it.
Agreed.
I think the organic fluidity that's built into that idea of like, you know what, I need you to throw down, and then not having to ever justify it as a storyteller, as an arbiter, is much better.
Agreed.
So I just when throwing down, you get a bonus success and an extra die, so that just makes you smarter than everyone else, for free.
Bidding any trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy grants you 1 bonus success in addition to an extra die when throwing down.
Let me clarify.
Yeah, it needs to be.
But even under duress, you're bidding any
Yeah, there you go.
expertise trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy grants you 1 bonus success in addition to the
extra die.
extra die normally granted
When performing actions which require mental concentration. Yeah, that makes sense.
by expertise traits.
Yep.
And honestly, I don't think this is necessary because
It already says
it's a
staying focused, distractions, whatever.
Yeah, the idea is when is philosophy appropriate?
Well, when do you concentrate? It's almost always mental.
Right. So you're ridding yourself of distractions and things like that. It's already a mental operation. I don't think that's necessary.
Okay.
Because, well, I mean, for example, you've got bullets flying overhead. You're in a war zone and you're trying to, pick a lock or something. You've been disciplined mind and you're able to focus.
Right.
And just hope that your buddies have your back.
Mental fortitude. Go!
Your brain's so good that you get more things because you were so special.
Your big brain good. Your brain's so good, it's big brain. Insane, the big brain. The appeal to be a caster should be there, but players should understand there are consequences to using big juju.
Indeed.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Tenacious mind. Oh, let me plug in my computer because it's about to die.
Tenacious Mind is your other option for a rank 1 discovery in this tome. It gives you tenacity as a trait. There are those who say that tenacity is a greater friend than talent. You have found some truth in this statement. When attempting to concentrate, instead of gaining the extra die granted from bidding any trait gained from verbose, you may elect to roll a d4 and concentrate for free for a number of additional turns equal to the result.
That's interesting.
Normally, continue to concentrate requires bidding a new trait every turn, past the first, or once your successes have been used up.
Let me read this. There are those that say tenacity, okay, when attempting to concentrate, which probably should be bracketed. Do we bracket it up here?
No.
We don't. Or we didn't.
Yeah.
Concentrate should be bracketed. It has a very specific meaning.
I like it because you used my definition of bracketed terms.
Listen, I didn't disagree with that. What I disagreed with, it has a specific meaning, right? And it changes with the character. All right. Instead of gaining the extra die granted from bidding any trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy, you may elect to roll a d4. So the extra die, how did you gain from the Tome of Philosophy? Blah, blah, blah. Normally granted by expertise traits. Yeah? What do you think? Don't you put a space in there. Fuck you. Do not put a space in there. God damn it. Don't you fuck.
I'm helping. I actually didn't see it until you said something.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When attempting to concentrate, instead of gaining... It's like, I don't know. I love commas, but it's like too many clauses.
It is a lot of fun.
When attempting to concentrate, instead of gaining the extra die normally granted by expertise traits, you may elect to roll a d4 and concentrate for free for a number of additional turns equal to the result.
You could put instead first.
Yeah. So, well, and this is good. When attempting to concentrate. Okay, so now we know what it's for, right? So I do like that, starting off. Because otherwise it's like, oh, well, I don't care about concentration, move on, right?
You may elect to roll a d4 and concentrate blah, blah, blah instead of...
Yeah.
Okay, do it.
When attempting to concentrate and instead of gaining the extra die normally granted by expertise traits.
But I still think you can have a comma there, unless you're going to have it at the end.
Well, I'm trying to get rid of the spacing, like the pauses when reading. I don't know.
The thing is, it's an either or, and we just need to make it clear that that is the case. Like, unless you're going to gain the extra die, or if you're going to gain the extra die, this doesn't work. Because the die 4 is not the extra die you get.
You may forego... Yep, no E. The extra die normally granted by expertise traits. And instead...
Elect.
And instead elect...
Okay.
Look at us. Look at us. Instead elect to roll a d4 and concentrate for free.
You don't need to quote that.
Without,
it was in quotes because you're technically spending something. That's what it was.
Yeah, but concentrate for a number of additional turns equal to the result without additional bids. Normally, continue to concentrate requires bidding a new trait every turn, past the first.
Or once your successes have been used up. So that's a little bit of an addendum because there is a way to do that as an arbiter. There's a way to solve that problem as how many successes did you get? Okay, you have that many rounds, you can concentrate.
Right.
All right. Let me check here. Boop. Bye, Perna.
See ya.
Bye, Perna. Let me see. 69 degrees. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Are they encouraged? Yes, they are. Yes.
Gravel switch. You cast a big spell,
That's
your character will
what I
have... Oh, up there. Our DMs encourage you to create story consequences from casting big spells. Yes. Also, we don't call them spells. Okay? We call it magicka. So...
It's a trigger word.
Right.
It's a trigger word.
Turmoil of philosophy. Turmoil. It gives you turmoil. But does it?
If your mage calls them spells because they're a filthy hedge, that's fine. But it's not a game mechanic. Or
Agreed.
a game term.
Just as the study of philosophy can bring wisdom, it can also disrupt one's ability to cope with their existence, the morality of their actions, or simply cause them to second-guess themselves. As a reaction, or a major action, you may choose to bid any trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy, and so cause your foe to suffer a 1-point penalty to any successes they have rolled. Although this does not give you turmoil by the text. So we got some problems here.
We have plenty of problems.
As a reaction or a major action, I had no problem with that. Although major action technically...
I think you get rid of major action.
Why?
Because why would you ever commit your major action to this when you can do it as a reaction?
Because you can have as many reactions as you want. Right?
Well, that that feeds into what I'm getting at. Action economy wise, it's always better to do it as a reaction, because we're like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, well, here's how I fuck you.
Right,
Right.
but the difference is this. In a game like Dungeons and Dragons, where you get a standard action and a reaction, or how many ever of these things you get, you are correct. However, in DreadLore, you are not correct. Because if someone said, I'm going to use turmoil in philosophy against this dude, I'd be like, okay, that's your major action. Unless you're reacting.
But you can do it as a reaction.
But you can do it as a reaction. So what I'm saying is, a person like you would say, well, but this says I can use it as a reaction, so technically it's not my major action. I only get one major action a turn, so I get 2 actions. And that is not what this is supposed to be. This is supposed to be, it is your major action, but if something happens and you want to react, you can. It's not, you get to do 2 things at the same time. So it's got to be clear on that front.
So,
because a lot of major actions you can't do as reactions.
Where do we break down in the book what reactions cause you to forfeit your normal turn?
They don't. You can do a reaction not on your turn. That's the point. So let's say the bad guy goes, and you're not going to spend cunning to go first. You could say, I do this as a reaction. And then you'd get 2 turns, because then you'd go afterwards. That'd be fine. Or let's say the bad guy goes, then people are going, and then it's the bottom of the round, some other bad guy's going. You're like, whoa, I used my reaction on this.
Here's my point.
Yeah.
Because we may be talking in circles.
Yeah, we are.
Bad guy goes, and I want to penalize them. So they're doing their thing, and as a reaction, I give them a penalty with turmoil.
Yeah.
Versus, I feel like you're going to do something I don't like, so I'm going to spend my action on turmoil to preempt whatever it is you're going to do.
Right.
Right? Now, in the latter case, I have used my turn to fuck them. Versus, I could have done something else with my turn and waited for them to do the thing and then done it as a reaction, in which case I would have gotten my major action on my turn and the opportunity to react.
Yep.
So why would you not do it as a reaction?
So
what benefit does it give you to use your normal major action on? I get that reactions are major actions. You just don't have to. There's no opening bid to start it. But as far as I'm aware, we've never codified anything about limiting reactions or that they impact the rest of your turn or your ability to take actions for that round. And I don't think we should, because that's a whole can of worms. But is it stronger if you do this preemptively versus reactively?
So I would say you can't do it preemptively unless you're spending cunning, or unless you're going before they're going. Because you can't react to something that hasn't happened. So if
I'm not talking about reactions. So I'm talking about, it's my turn. I think you're going to do something I don't like, so I'm going to hamper a possible course of action. Right? That is how I read major action. It is my turn. I'm taking an action against you.
Agreed.
Versus you're doing a thing and I don't like it, and now you suck a little bit at it.
Yeah.
The latter case is always better for a player regarding their action economy. As an arbiter, you don't really care because you're making shit up. But as a player, the action economy matters, and I will do it as a reaction. Oh, okay, so here's what we're seeing. Got it. All right, well, you lose a success on what you're doing. I'm that guy in Billy Madison or Happy Gilmore. You suck, you jackass.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's the naysayer in the background. So that I think because it's objectively better to always do it as a reaction. There's no downside to doing it as a reaction, or on the flip, there's no benefit to losing your turn for this when you don't have to, that it should just read as a reaction.
So, what you're saying makes sense. However, if we say as a reaction and that's all, then literally what that means is you can only use it as a reaction. So whether or not it's technically better or not, doesn't really matter. Because if you say you can only do it as a reaction, then that means you cannot do it as a major action. Sorry.
Mm.
So you actually don't have the agency to do what you want. Because I guarantee there are situations where it's not gonna be your turn. What do? I really can't do anything. I can only use this as a reaction. This is really what I want to do.
It's true.
But I can't do it. And that means the next person that goes, fuck, this is stupid.
Well, so...
Will it happen? I don't know.
It is true. It is within the realm of possibility that there is a set of circumstances in which the bad guy went before you and didn't do anything bad yet. And then you have a turn, and you haven't started fighting. It's still just banding about in words, but the tension is rising, and you want to trip him up a little bit.
You say, you suck.
You suck. And give him the penalty. And that way, at the start of the next turn, because antagonists go first, or go second, world action, antagonist, PCs. So, when they go again on the next round, when it's their turn again on the next round, that penalty will carry over. So, yeah, I mean, if you're not doing anything else with your turn, that makes sense. I think that yep.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
I know, it's like a lot.
It's different than successes. Yeah, it reads differently. How do you say you take away? Well, one penalty success.
No, you get this.
You get a penalty. Technically,
you get it.
Technically, you are introducing a negative. You're adding a negative. You're adding a -1.
So it's kind of interesting here, I think.
It could be read as a -1. No, don't.
Because, and this is kind of contradicting myself, but to take this as a major action, the way it's written, you have to bid a trait from the Tome of Mastery to even do it.
Yep.
Huh. So yeah, it's way better to use it as a reaction.
Yep.
Still, I believe in empowering the players.
Do not let him spoon feed you these lies. Stadler is picky about the word spell. So, yeah, honestly though, I mean, I see your point. I think it's fine. I think it's just important for players to be able to realize that, like, this is something that you would do because you have nothing else to do. And honestly, at that point, you roleplay instead of doing something mechanical.
I mean, if you think it's...
Because technically you're not in rounds yet if you're not fighting.
If it's something you believe in, we can make it just a reaction.
Well, see, I believe in empowering the players, and I don't want to put them in... I don't want to put traps in the game for them to take that are suboptimal without rewarding.
That said, you would also never take this power.
It's a good fucking power.
Yeah?
Yeah, you penalize them, and it's free.
Do you have a character that does this?
I had characters with Tome of Philosophy in the past, back in 1.7, 1.5.
I have a feeling that they did something a little bit different. It was like, roll all your dice, they take that much damage or something like that.
Actually, what it was
you live forever and your dick gets bigger.
One of them was written specifically for me, because of a thing that I tend to do in games. And I took it on pretty much all of my characters, and it essentially said, you can undo that last thing that you said that caused combat to break out.
But we still have that, don't we?
I don't know.
Pretty sure we do.
It's probably in here. But yeah, it's
Okay.
a situation where, like, you know, role play is going really well. You've got them, you know, the palm of your hands. You've inculcated yourself into the coven or the cult, and then you're like, yeah, so
I suck dicks.
and then you just get, you know, the name of the cult leader wrong, and everybody knows it, or you like, oh, my book, yeah, I bought this at a pawn shop, you know, and people don't like it.
On a new iPhone. Thank you, Apple ID. The fuck? Alright, so yay or nay for the major action? It's up to you, man.
I just get rid of it.
Okay. You can only do this as a reaction. Castigate. Oh, we need to add turmoil in here.
It can also bring turmoil.
Yep.
To one's existence.
Well, where?
This is, you know, disrupt one's ability to cope with their
I see.
existence, bring turmoil to their existence. Any expertise trait, just for consistency.
What have I done? Castigate gives you castigating. After shooting, a castigating glowering. And muttering a few sardonic words. You make a foe realize the gravity of the philosophy you hold so dearly. Does your foe not realize non-philosophers should avoid confronting philosophers? Make a major action, hey brackets, or a reaction to affect them. And if successful against their opposed role, geez, your foe's action die gains the detriment trait. Your foe must be able to understand your voice or see you glowering to be affected. Pretty sure I wrote this like when it was glowering. If they instead bid a trait during the dread, then that trait is forfeit as though it failed. The flaw is exhausted once your foe either throws down or bids. Whew, that's a big ole.
Fuck.
Jesus. Jesus, Mary Joseph.
All right.
So what is that actually doing? It's giving them a flaw trait.
After shooting a cast, it doesn't need to.
No, it doesn't.
It enforces detriment on the roll, so they take the worst.
So detriment on the roll. Detriment is it's not impaired anymore. I thought it was called impaired.
Impairment is.
I don't think we have a detriment roll, do we?
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's the bad reroll.
Oh, right. Impaired is where you can only get one success on a die. Detriment is where you roll both, but you got to take the worst. Right.
Detriment.
Right. It's the reverse of apprehend. Right. We never use that.
Yes, we do. Right here.
Throwing down. SOB. Hold on a second.
How about you and I talk about that off stream sometime, and then we'll
Yeah,
go
we
through
need to
and do that.
fucking talk about it.
Yeah. You gotta.
I thought you'd like it.
You
I
gotta
thought it
win
was
me
your
over.
idea to not bracket.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was.
No. In my mind, it was. Let's not do this. I know. I saw it.
It wasn't me.
Motherfucker. I've gone too
Shut
far.
up, Megan. I know what you're saying. I can't even see it. I know what you're saying.
Fuck. What are they saying? I don't know. The power of retcon. Yes, I think it would be fine. So, playing advocate for the players, I think it would be fine to introduce it as a major action if they gain something additional. Right? So it's like you can bid this as a reaction and you impose a penalty on whatever action they're taking right then. Or you can be proactive, use it as a major action, and they have like a -2 penalty. let's see here. So after shooting a castigating glower and muttering a few sardonic words, you make a foe realize the gravity of the philosophy you hold. Does your foe not realize non-philosophers should avoid confronting philosophers? Whew. That's rough. So this can go away.
I know you're a dog. He's a big old dog.
How do you verb out detriment? Detrimentized? Detrimental?
Detriment? Something is detrimental. To give something detriment? I don't think it is a verb.
She said, why am I getting called out? I'm completely behaving myself.
No, you're not. You're never behaving yourself.
So here's the thing. Obviously,
Bestow the detriment?
I think you shouldn't be an opposed role. Now, I'm down for it being an opposed role because I think that it's powerful if you don't roll for it. But it's also competing with things like you deal bonus damage and you have magic. So saying something like your next roll, you're rolling with detriment.
That's the same thing as hex. Which
Well,
is fine.
Hex.
Oh no, that's on the chaos die.
Hex is like you get a D. Like hex
That's the
is
chaos die.
well, yeah, hex is weird because it's the inverse of your training die. So whatever your training die is, they get a mirrored chaos die.
Right.
Right.
No,
So,
I know.
Yeah.
Okay. After, let me read it really quick.
All right.
After
I fixed a little bit.
After shooting a castigating glower and muttering a few sardonic words. I think that after shooting a castigating glower is probably just wrong. But anyway, you make a foe realize, and that's me talking about myself. I am wrong.
Well, I changed it from glowering to glower.
Oh, glower.
Castigating glowering because that's
That is
like
wrong.
two. Yeah.
It's a glow ring.
I wish.
No, it's ah. You make a foe realize the gravity of the philosophy you hold. Oh. So, does your foe not realize that non-philosophers should avoid confronting philosophers? Make a major action or reaction to affect them. Should there not be a comment? Whatever. To affect them. And is successful against their opposed role.
I started deleting.
So you don't think
so-
it should be opposed?
No, because it's competing against things that are already powerful. And I realize this is Discovery 2, but we can move it. It should just give them detriment on the next roll.
No save?
We can do the opposed roll thing, but it's the next step up from penalty, right? Like, oh, yeah.
Okay. It's fine by me. However, it's a little 5th edition right now. If you take away the opposed roll, it's kind of like, haha, you get detriment. That's heinous.
We could do...
Now, if they have to bid one of their Tome of Philosophy traits,
They would, because it's expertise.
well, okay.
As in, other expertise doesn't do this. The whole bidding a trait from the Tome of Philosophy.
So the reason that we say that is because in the beginning, you had to bid, like each section, each category, if it gave you a power, you'd have to bid a trait from that. But we eschewed that to where if you have a trait, you just need to bid it for the major action and you can do those expertise unless it explicitly says such as it has in this.
Right.
Right now it doesn't. So you can bid any trait you want and this goes off. That's really powerful. I'm fine with that.
Wait, sorry, you're absolutely right. Well, I guess where I was getting at is the thing that you have to bid to activate this is an expertise trait. You have to bid an expertise trait as an expertise trait to make this work.
Are you
What
sure?
what I was saying.
I don't think that's what's actually written here.
What's written here is bullshit because we're about to change it. Everything after the fluff needs to be changed.
Okay.
Here's the catch. So if you're bidding, you can bid any trait as a character trait, and it works like a character trait. These specialty traits like expertise traits and equipment traits and things like that, those have special rules when they're used as themselves, as opposed to as a character trait, right? Using these expertise traits to gain the benefit of the expertise, it has to be done within their sphere of influence. So if I'm using air and flame magicka, then I can't really bid expertise traits that I've derived from other forms of magicka, other circles, to enhance that spell. If I'm wanting to do philosophy stuff, like use philosophy expertise, by definition I have to use the expertise traits gained from the Tome of Philosophy.
That is the original way I wrote it. But
That's
that was
the way,
changed.
That's the way it's still supposed to be.
Okay. We've not been playing that way.
And we'll get to that. I have. But then again, I often find myself more constraining myself unnecessarily compared to the rest of the play group.
Yeah, the rest of the play group does not do that,
So-
especially with Magicka.
So, well, it has to be appropriate, right? So these traits, these expertise traits, are used for the expertise that you're, getting them from. It gets weird when you're doing like the combat stuff and soldiering, because
She agrees with you. Put it somewhere else. Oh, you mean like it's powerful, but
I can't behave all the time, so it's more interesting when I don't. I agree with Ben, put it somewhere else.
right? So that's a fundamental game mechanic. What do you think? I personally think. Are you saying this? Actually, go ahead and say what you're saying.
Let's talk like specifically about magicka because it's
Do it.
it's the most concise I can make it.
Yeah.
You can't use fire magicka expertise to make your earth magicka better. You can't get extra dice using expertise traits that for magicka. You can't use fire magicka expertise traits to get extra dice when summoning some earth juju.
This is true, but you're talking about training, and that's different.
Training just changes the die type. It doesn't change your traits.
Okay, here's an example, just to make sure we're on the same page, because I think we are. I am doing an air and flame thing. I got a whole air and flame thing going on. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make some air and flame. Check
Yeah.
this out. Boom. Hot air balloon. Go.
Right.
Right. I'm gonna bid warrior. Why?
Right.
Because it's in battle. That's how we've been running it. Now, the original way was, well, do you have traits, expertise traits, meaning traits given by the expertise within air and flame? And that's what you can use for that.
Yep.
If you want to evoke that magicka, you've got to use something given from air and flame. I'm cool with that. If we do it that way, it, not hoodwink, it hamstrings. Hamstrings? Is it hamstring or hamstring? I just asked the mic. It hamstrings casters.
Hamstrings.
Hamstring?
Like your hammy.
Hammy. It hamstrings, it Hemingway streams. I'm cool with it.
All right.
I think it's great.
In my mind, especially with the case of Magicka, you can only use expertise from the circles that you're actually using.
Dude, I'm totally down.
So if I'm using 3 separate circles of Magicka to do one big spell, it's probably going to take more than one round.
Or it should. Unless you're Dom and then...
But then at that point, I can get up to 3 extra dice because I can call on expertise from all 3 circles.
Sure.
So that's when that becomes applicable. If I'm doing stuff that's getting out of Magicka is nice and neat. In this one way, it's nice and succinct. It opens up more of a can of worms when you're getting into the mundane stuff, because that's when it really is. If I can make an argument for this to work, like, oh, well, how can you castigate someone if you don't have any of your philosophy stuff? It's like, well, this is a warrior, one warrior to another.
Right.
You know.
Okay, so if we do that, again, I've been pulled in 2 different directions on this subject specifically, and that's why it kind of bounces back and forth. It's verbose because I'm verbose, but to try and be clear and balanced. Because if we do it that way for Magicka, but then don't do it for this, just so long as we're explicit, it's fine.
Yeah. It is that way for Magicka. And here's my thing. As a player, the traits that I have in abundance are expertise traits.
What about mage? Let's say I've got the background mage, and I bid mage to do air and flame Magicka.
That works.
Okay, so...
But you don't get the extra dice.
Right.
Because...
Well, you're not trying to get the extra dice, though.
Yeah. Well, this is... The extra die is the effect of the expertise for Magicka. Magicka expertise doesn't do anything other than give you the extra die. Mechanically, when throwing down, which is what we're talking about right now, Magicka expertise gives you an extra die. This, bidding this expertise lets you fuck with other people's dice.
Yes, but it doesn't. But it doesn't give you an extra die. And if you use the power aspect of it, it doesn't give you an extra die. You get an either or. That's on all of them. You could say I'm gonna gain. Like, I'm gonna do something. I'm doing social warfare. I'm doing social engineering, and I've made my major action with my bid. I'm a philosopher, or I bid ascetic. That's one of the backgrounds. Boom. I bid ascetic to socially engineer this motherfucker. I'm gonna throw down my action die, my aspect die, boom, boom, boom. I got these things. I'm gonna get an extra die from castigating. Let's say my training is up to D6. I throw that D6. They do not get this effect.
Correct.
However, they could say, well, I'm gonna use this power that I got from expertise. I'm gonna bid, at this point, any trait that makes sense and give that person detriment.
Yeah.
This is an ambiguous thing.
You're right.
I like the idea of it being, hey, look, you can use any trait you want if it makes sense, unless the power explicitly says not to. And that's why earlier it explicitly says not to. It explicitly says you've got to use Tome of Philosophy.
You're absolutely correct. So I was thinking about it in terms of what you get when you spend the expertise trait as an expertise trait, not the whole bit about expertise gives you new abilities, and when you bid, it's regarding throwing down.
Right.
So, yeah, technically, if it didn't have you have to bid an expertise trait from Tome of Philosophy, you could just do that all day as a reaction for free. Like, literally for free. Which is problematic. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You're just a shit to be around if you're that guy. God, I hate that castigating pup.
So
are we going to keep it to where you can activate any power? And I think this terminology, it's 1.7 terminology, but I do like the idea of saying, listen, expertise gives you powers. We describe it. It allows you to do shit other people can't do.
Right.
To activate the power, you don't like that.
No. It gives you shit that other people can't do, and when throwing down, you can bid the traits you get from them to get extra dice.
Okay. And you can, to activate those powers, just for our conversation, you bid an appropriate trait. Unless otherwise said.
The way it's written in here gets rid of to activate the power. Activating isn't a game mechanic anymore. That is 1.7. Oh God, I hated it.
It worked well.
It was necessary.
It worked.
It was necessary, but we dug that hole for ourselves.
It was good. It was good.
This soup is yummy.
It was good.
And we got rid of it. It doesn't exist for a reason. And I wasn't a choice I made.
I know. I made the choice.
Yeah, it's gone, and that's good.
It's so weird.
It did work. It worked. Oh God, it worked. In this iteration of the system, in Relapse, you don't have to activate powers. There are things that you can do. To take a major action without impairment requires you to bid an appropriate trait.
Yep.
And that's for any action.
Yes.
So if you're using something that you get from expertise, or you're not, if it's a major action and you're throwing down, then if it's a major action, you have to bid.
So how do you use, I mean, I want to say power because it's just the easiest way to say it, but how do you get the effect of castigate?
So that's the caveat that was written, right? That you wrote.
Yep.
And that I think we cleared up a little bit. But if it specifically says that you have to bid a specific trait, then that's the exception.
Okay.
The rule is, if you have the expertise, you can do it whenever the fuck you want. If it's a major action, you have to bid. And a lot of times when you're doing these expertise things, it changes the scene, which is the definition of a major action.
Right.
Right? Because, like, magic is never fucking quiet.
But this is not an instruction manual, so we do need to be explicit. Like, I like the idea of it saying, make a major action. Despite someone being like, well, obviously it changes the scene. I don't like the ambiguity. Like, you list something way at the top of the book, but you need to sometimes be a little redundant.
Yeah, but, I think that's an Arbiter's Toolbox thing. To an extent. We'll talk about it. This clearly is the exception rather than the rule. Right?
So
a lot of these in philosophy are the exception. So it just needs to be clearer. So the idea would be bid
Right. If they all do this, we could just say it at the beginning of the fucking thing.
So bid any expertise trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy, and so cause your foe
To make their next roll with detriment.
to forfeit to exhaust the next trait they bid without
What are you thinking?
without effect.
You mean
But,
they lose their turn?
Well, this whole thing, then that trait is forfeit as though they failed. As though it failed. But that is they lose their turn. This can be interpreted as they lose their turn. But I think the idea is they have to double bid.
I see what you're saying. Although that doesn't say they lose their turn. That says they fail.
I know.
Yeah.
But failure is either they lose their turn or their spell blows up
Well, I mean,
Or-
like I try to jump over this hole. Well, I lose my turn versus I fail. There's a big difference.
It's a huge difference, right? So that's fail. That is much worse. Is that what you want it to be?
We need
Do you
to
want it? Do
decide-
you want it to be? They have to bid again, or like, is there a trait tax, or is it they fail?
Why don't we give them a condition? Like, stunned, or bewildered.
That is the spending.
Why don't we just say they are either stunned or bewildered as you see fit? Like you just stun them, or actually, well,
It would be bewildered.
it would, yeah, you bewilder them, and that way we get all the mechanics packed into that.
God, look at you go. Yeah.
It happens. It happens. Do you want any water or anything?
No. So real quick.
I'm just letting
Um, Oh, okay. The whole bit about when they're throwing down.
Yep.
I still like detriment. So the whole bewilderment would be when they're not throwing down. Because this is a caveat at the end. Like, well, if it's during the dread, then the trait is forfeit as though it failed.
I like the rule, but the thing is though, NPCs. I don't know. Well, write it out. We'll have something solid, and then
you still allow for PvP. The arbiter
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like, oh, I'm bewildered. Okay,
Right.
I act appropriately. I
Right.
do things
Okay.
behind the screen.
let's
You-
write it
you
out
fudge it.
and have it
Um,
rock and roll.
Okay, so any expertise going bit any and
Do one of the following.
yeah. Your foe in one of two ways.
During the dread. How'd you do that?
I just hit hyphen space.
Oh, are we using that format?
I don't think
Fuck it, go on.
it doesn't matter. It's just a basic list.
Keep on going.
It's as basic as it gets.
We'll just get it out there. Rock
Yeah.
and roll.
So let's see. Inflict detriment
On the next
on-
roll.
your
Your own rolls.
your target's action die. Wait, this is a thing that you did, right? Respecting your choices. On your target's action die for their next roll. Inflict the stunned or bewildered condition. It needs to be stunned because you could be doing a physical thing, and I'm thinking about that in terms of like, I'm at Happy Gilmore now, and that you suck, you jackass, or like the long jump going over the hole, you suck. Stunned or bewildered condition, on their next, on your target's next major action during, if not throwing down.
So, all this said, I think we should split this into two different powers. Because it's too powerful right now. I know what we're trying to do. We're trying to take about the dread and then throwing down and do both use cases. I think it's better served to split it into two powers. One does the bewildered stunned. One does on their next action die roll. Which is far fucking different than their next turn. Right? Like you say something shitty to them. And like a year from now. like you're gonna have a contest tomorrow and you're like, I've already won. You fucking leave. And on their action roll they do it.
Yeah.
I think it's two different powers. And that way, players have to advance twice. Yes. They get more traits. Yes. And it's two succinct, distinct powers.
Okay.
I shall drop the mic.
So you're thinking, in order to avoid the, oh, well, we need to make this useful in the Dread and when throwing down, just separate them.
Yeah, because this means when you activate the power, you only do it for when they throw down. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't use it otherwise. Or you would use it for a narrative thing during the Dread. It's a mechanical power. And it gives us more to play with in the Tome of Philosophy, and it means that they can have more traits to play around with and do the Tome of Philosophy.
Right.
Yeah, we should keep on going and look.
Well,
Let's take like a 3-minute break.
Cool.
If you want to chill out here, it's cool. And
I want to catch up here because there's something
Okay.
I'm specifically looking for.
Okay. I'm gonna go make some more coffee. So, chat and stuff. I'll be back in like 3 minutes.
Cool.
Do you need any water or anything like that?
I'm good, thank you. See you, Gravel Switch. Sorry, we're about 10 minutes behind that. Sorry about that. What seems thin? What seems thin, Megan? Did we fuck up? What are your thoughts? Analytics. Let's see here. I'm just taking a look at conditions here. Oh shit, we don't do bewildered. We have distracted. Oh no. That's worse. So, I don't think this is intended, but as it's written, this is why I like the brackets for things that mean something special, and not necessarily mechanic versus term. But you see here, distracted and stunned cause impairment in addition to what else they do. And that's fucking heinous. Maybe it's intended, I don't know. Yeah, well, that's the beauty of this system, Megan. So, yes, putting magic together and then bidding warrior because it's in combat does seem like a stretch. I'm glad you said that. It gives me confidence about the system in so much as, not that I didn't already have it in spades, but in so much as the beauty of this system is that when it's that reasonable person standard, right? Bid an appropriate trait. Okay, well, I don't know if that's appropriate. Why do you think it's appropriate? And then you make an argument. Well, it's in combat. Sorry, no. Warriors, not all warriors can use magicka. You might be a warrior, with Magicka, but it's not appropriate, right? It's that reasonable person standard of what is appropriate, and I think the fact that there were 3 people that heard that conversation, and all 3 of them were like, no, that doesn't work. That is the point of DreadLore. And I think that for that reason, it works. The idea is to set up a system where it's not necessarily rules light, because rules light games don't have a flavor. They can be tepid or bland. They might not have enough depth. And you need mechanics to give depth to a game system in a lot of ways. You really do. But we are okay with with the game not being an engineering manual the way that I wrote it. I don't think it should be. I think the idea, and this is a relatively new idea in gaming, specifically with tabletop gaming, but the idea that there are gray areas in the rules for things that simply aren't addressed, like physics. It's not a simulationist thing. We're not trying to simulate real-world physics in any way. I don't think we ever really address falling damage or any of that stuff, and that's kind of up to the DM, the arbiter. The arbiter will make those calls as they see fit, and I don't know. Maybe it's in the arbiter's toolbox. I haven't looked at it in a while, but I don't think it is. Hazards, environmental hazards, and stuff. I don't think they're in there. So, yeah, I'm okay with gray areas and nuance, and your playgroup will figure it out. And if the answer that they come up with works for their playgroup, then great. Then that's what we needed. So that's where my head's at with this. Hey, Will.
Yep.
Guess what?
What?
Check it out. Distracted and stunned. We don't have bewildered anymore. It's distracted.
Fuck.
Check it out.
Bewildered. Put
Wait,
it.
wait. Change it.
Yeah.
Change it.
Change it.
So they cause impairment too.
God damn. See, this is the problem with writing a book. A distracted character's wits and mind are temporarily impaired. Okay? They can only do 1 success on a die. They also have difficulty concentrating, making major actions, or mental. They take the form of needing 2 bids. Okay.
You technically don't have to bid to take a reaction.
This takes the form needing 2 bids instead of 1 to take a major action, or
1 bid.
1 bid instead of none to make a reaction.
Yeah. So is it intended for them to be impaired as well?
No, this is supposed to be if.
So
I mean, technically they are. Yeah. You take all that shit. The idea is if you're distracted and you're making bids, you got to make more than you normally should.
So you have to bid. You have to double the bids you need, and you're impaired.
How about instead of double, you say 1 extra bid?
I'm saying that because you and I know what that means, and it was less words.
Yes.
It's not how I'm going to write in the book.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because if you're making rolls, you get impaired, or you're impaired until you're not distracted. If you're making bids, you're expending more.
If it impairs their dice, and this is why I'm asking, the expertise I'm drafting for Castigate is a lot easier.
For detriment?
Not for detriment, because I'm splitting them.
Oh,
right?
right.
So if I just give the stunned or bewildered condition, then they have the impairment and everything baked in. And that is worthy of being its own power.
Yep.
And then the other one is like, oh, you're rolling? That's cute. Have detriment.
Yep.
Like, re-roll that and take the worst.
So, do we want to call it bewildered or distracted? I love bewildered.
Bewildered is
better.
funny.
It's way more funny.
Yeah.
Way funnier.
Yeah.
All right,
All right, I got it.
Second.
Yeah, of course. I'm happy to explain it. Yeah, it's what we call, I say we like I'm still in it, It's what we call in the legal profession the reasonable person standard. Don't do anything legal anymore. That could be misconstrued, but fuck it. Okay, so bewildered. Actually, Control F. Replace with bewildered. Boom. Replace. Replace. All right. Oh no. So many things. All right. So this is 3B. This is 3A. We're going to cut this. No, we're not. We're going to undo. Copy. Okay, after shooting a castigating glower and muttering a few sardonic words, you make a foe realize the gravity of the philosophy you hold. Does your foe not realize that non-philosophers should avoid confronting philosophers? Bet any expertise trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy and inflict the stunned or bewildered condition on your target's next major action.
All right. Don't worry, I'm here. Now we can start.
That's right. It's time to start. Your foe must be able to understand your voice, your words. I don't. I hear your words. We speak the same language, but I don't understand your voice. See you glowering to be affected. And then we can ditch this.
Yep. Okay. Shall I read it aloud?
Go ahead. Don't copy paste anything.
Whatever.
We're talking about the reasonable person standards for appropriate trait.
Yep.
Bid an appropriate trait. What do those words mean?
Also, do we actually call them discoveries at anywhere? Do we talk about it in expertise at the beginning?
Kinda. I could probably flesh that out a bit more.
Because I know that I ran into several times where we talked about ranks. We need to clear up that terminology.
Yeah.
That way they just know, oh, these are discoveries. Castigating. After shooting a castigating glower and muttering a few sardonic words, you make a foe realize the gravity of the philosophy you hold. Does your foe not realize that non-philosophers should avoid confronting philosophers? Bid any expertise trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy and inflict the stunned or bewildered condition on your target's next major action. Your foe must be able to understand your words or see you glowering to be affected.
I guess this should be for on your foe's next
Turn.
until the end of your foe's next turn.
How about your foe's next action?
Generally, that would make it weaker than any other instance of the condition because it's over a span of time rather than for a specific action.
Right.
And
I see
so
what you're
for
saying. If it was a minor
unifying the-
action, it would suck. Yeah.
Or a reaction, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Ooh. Until
On your target until the end of his
next major action.
his next turn.
That's pretty good. I was gonna say because that means everything leading up to that major action. So it doesn't actually. He will be affected by it. Is my point.
Well, impairment includes reactions.
I know, but right.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is right now, and this is fine. Castigate lasts an amount of time.
Right.
Fine.
That's the way conditions should be.
Yeah, that's fine.
Conditions should last an amount of time.
What I mean though is it would be more powerful to say until the end of his next major action, because that means everything leading up to Lynn, he's impaired or he's got the bewildered. Boom, he does his next major action, which is with bewilderment, has to be, and then it resolves.
Yeah.
And that's way cooler.
That is
or more powerful.
Much more powerful.
So that means that should be like the 4.
And I like it, but it's a bag of cats.
It is a bag of cats. So let's continue.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to create 2C.
All right.
So let's. I just have.
Go for it.
I
Do
have
it. Go you there for it.
What are we calling it?
Just put dots and then write out the good shit.
Castigate is. There's a magic card
Just
like
keep
Castigate.
Keep on doing it.
Mortify? Fuck.
Doesn't matter. Trust me.
I know.
Oh, you have it there. Oh, you actually do have it.
That's what I meant. Like,
I just thought it
had
was copy spaghetti. I think Mortify's fine. Because it's based on...
Castigate and Mortify are 2 cards in Magic the Gathering that do stuff like this. They make you like discard, lose cards out of your hand and stuff, and that's exactly what this is doing.
Yeah.
Or Mortify may like kill a creature and discard. I don't. It's dumb. Anyway, point is, thought it's cool.
How about Offend?
Mortify. Mortify your flesh.
Halter. Hey.
So.
I think Offend.
Bid any expertise trait gained from the Tome of Philosophy. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the mechanic.
Oh.
The fluff will come. Because the fluff is like the dots.
Yep.
Oh God, the fluffer.
Yeah.
That's where you went.
Yeah, that's where I went.
That's where you went.
That's right where I went.
On your target. On your target's action die. For their next roll. Whatever, I think that works.
Yeah.
Because major action, minor action, fuck, it doesn't matter. And you can do it together. So that would be, this is reactionary. As a reaction.
Mm-hmm. In brackets.
Indeed. Sorry about that.
Bracketed.
And you said offend?
It doesn't have to be Offend. I'm just being funny. It could be, in fact, Mortify, but whatever.
Mortifying? We're gonna do that.
No, Mortify. As in to mortify.
Mortifying.
Oh,
Castigate,
right.
castigating, mortifying, mortifying.
Yep.
So, hop down here. You're better at the fluff than I am. You want to type this shit out?
I'm better at the business.
You're
okay?
You're better fluffer.
Indeed. Just make a comment. We'll get to it. We can keep on
Add.
going. We don't need to right now.
So, add.
Yeah. Fluff.
Add fluff.
Okay.
All right. Refutation. I moved it down to 3A because these are the counter philosophy things, which actually makes sense now. So refutation is refute. Use your powers of glib and argument to refute a would-be philosopher. Gain a reaction roll to attempt to negate a power from philosophy that would adversely affect you. You may bet any appropriate trait to use refutation. So this is not needed.
Right.
Because...
Yep. Use your power equivalent argument to gain a reaction roll to attempt to negate a power. Wow, that's powerful. Cool. Yep, I'm into it. It's a counterspell.
Yeah.
It's counterspell
on someone else's expertise.
On anything. Oh, from philosophy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So refutation is, hey, philosopher. Oh, you have that too, do you?
Yeah. Well, it really is like two senators dueling off.
Yeah, it is counterspell for senators.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And we're talking about the real world. We're talking about the Arzad set or the Aristo Council.
We should just. Oh, I know. Check this out.
God.
Wait.
Do we not have a trait from expertise anywhere that's just dickery?
Wait, check it out. Use your foe's words against them using dickery. That's probably not good. Using trump arguments.
No. I don't want him in this book.
What are you talking about? It's to trump something. What? Whatever.
What do you mean?
Whatever do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do you mean? That's lies. Those are lies. You murdered a whole village. Lies. It's lies. It's fake.
Fake news.
It's fake news. Lies. I trump your arguments. Lies. Okay. I think we should keep it.
You're a criminal.
You're a criminal
For not reporting on this other thing.
Is it too soon? I think it's funny. Right. Refute. I do like dickery. We don't need it. Do we need it?
Dickery?
More than just dickery. There you go. There's your dickery.
Can we put counterpoint back?
Yeah, we can put counterpoint back. All right. Use your foe's word.
Never mind.
Use your foe's words against them using counterpoint arguments. If they attempt to use philosophy to adversely affect you or someone within earshot, you may gain a reaction roll to overcome their attempt and to turn it on themselves instead. Doing so requires speaking and your foe understanding you. It also requires time enough to make your argument. Yeah, this needs to be edited.
So let's get rid of that caveat down at the bottom.
Okay, here's a question. I've got no problem with the power. The problem is the wording. Do we want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Reword.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. There is no problem with the power.
All right. Tome of Command.
How long are we streaming tonight?
We're gonna go to 10:30.
Okay.
But we are going to make it through expertise, and we're gonna get as far as we can into Theurgy.
No.
Theurgic expertise, excuse me.
This is it for Module 4.
Okay. So these all give 2 traits. All right.
We'll see.
The secrets and techniques of leaders, conquerors, and great Zens. Authoritarian presence. Gains authority and rethink. Great commanders realize that their physical presence can be used as a formidable tool. Use your authority. It should be authoritarian presence, but whatever. What do you think? Use your authority to bolster your presence and cause comrades and foes alike to rethink their course of action. While an antagonist may not change their mind entirely, they will certainly take notice of you. So that's why it gains 2 traits, is because it's kind of use case scenario and ambiguous. All of these are. But you also get a boatload of traits for taking it.
It's command, it's enchantment. It's command, suggestion, mental influence, but you're just not doing it magically. You're like, hey guys, look at me. Here's what you know why you listen to me. Listen to me.
Rethink it. Okay.
Yeah.
Any problems? Meaning business.
I mean, it just gives you extra dice. Like, oh, I need to make a wits roll to convince these people to do things. Cool. I get extra
I'll
dice.
make it happen.
Extra dice for days. Conversation is not always the answer. Sorry, meaning business. Rally and disperse are traits. Conversation is not always the answer, and in fact, yelling sometimes helps a commander make their point. Rally or disperse the masses with a 30 call. Some antagonists may react against being ordered around. Those ends who are affected may gain an other condition as appropriate. Yeah, so one is suggestion, and the other is, hey guys, get the fuck out, or get them the fuck out.
It's kind of like fear. But I don't like the analogs we're even drawing. You'll get to do the next one.
Well, it's written in the fluff, right? This is about yelling,
Yes.
right? I keep pointing like they can see it. I'm sorry. This is about yelling. This can be much more calm.
Yep.
But this is
Not fun.
things are going bad, and I need to take control.
Yeah, if you've seen, have you seen Cobra Kai?
Yeah.
And who's like, quiet! Stop it! Yeah. Too bad.
The shit hammer. You get the shit hammer and recognize. You have weaponized your skills of intimidation, a secret weapon known as the shit hammer, which you can bring out in times of insolence. Using the shit hammer can frighten even your friends, and it certainly makes your foes recognize. The shit hammer operates much as meaning business, except it's capable of ordering more definite instructions.
Do we have meaning business? Yeah, we do. Does it need to be recognized?
Recognize. No. I don't think
Recognize?
it-
Recognize.
I don't think it does.
Okay, it's funny. Problems? Also, there's no 2B.
I don't think there's a 3B either.
Nope.
And in that case, you just get rid of the letters. Boom. Boom, 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 boom.
So it gives you intimidation.
Do we need to do anything else for these other than just a boatload of expertise traits? Because here's the catch. You really only get to bid one expertise trait around from any given subtype.
Well, that's not entirely true, because I mean you're right. But let's say I'm going to intimidate the shit out of these motherfuckers. I'm gonna bid the shit hammer for my major action. Then I'm gonna gain the extra die from recognize.
True.
So you can do each of these. You can expend them. That's what they can do.
And oftentimes, expertise traits are the only traits I really have left, and I'm using them as character traits.
Right.
So there is that. But what I mean is, they only work as extra dice, and you can only get the extra die once from any subtype. So, like, if I'm doing something and want to blend things, yeah, I may be able to argue that I can get extra dice from more than one, like, avenue of expertise for this action. But I can't use Rally and the shit hammer and make it so to get 3 extra dice. Right? So you have an ass load of traits that really only give extra dice.
They give extra dice. They also, though, allow this person, as the commander, to have more endurance in terms of game mechanics.
Right, but that's a given. What I'm saying is, do they need to do anything other than extra
So
dice?
I did think in terms of kind of what philosophy does,
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, well, it gives you an extra success, or it gives you a die 4, or something along those lines. Because it really is all about the fluff in these. It says, like for instance, Tim, or Pernod Pal, had all of these. And so he'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to use recognize. and make this thing happen. And then as the arbiter, when I was like, okay, well, they'll roll. And he's like, well, it says you can do this. That's what the power actually does. So these rely much more on the narrative of, look, this is the outcome that should occur if I get this.
I think it needs to be said.
Sure.
Maybe it does. The Tome of Command, maybe we're addressing it. Maybe it's already addressed.
Maybe it's been addressed.
Let's get to the bottom then.
Yep.
So we've done these.
Make it so. Gives you make it so, and giving the word, point your finger and make it so. You giving the word tends to convince people when there is an impasse, tipping the even scales slightly in your favor, or convincing the sway voter just enough to side with you for the moment. So, someone with make it so, that is the person who could be like, you've got a bunch of players who are indecisive. Do we want to blow up the beam or not?
Are we going north or south?
Yeah. Someone says, I make it so. Heading, next star to the left, or a star to the left, and straight on till morning. And everybody's got for it. Everybody's got to go for it. Or it comes down to rolls, okay, boom, 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 and I win, whatever. Note.
The Tome of Command grants several win case scenarios. However, these are not auto-success powers. Depending on the difficulty and situation, antagonists will often have reaction rolls against them. Beings of power may simply ignore them. That said, these powers always affect the player's environment in what the arbiter believes meaningful ways.
Huh.
Albeit perhaps not the ways a player may expect. Might expect. When used player versus player, specifically bidding a trait granted from the Tome of Command will impair your opponent's dice if they choose to make a roll opposing your authority. The arbiter may, of course, supersede any power or ability a player might possess. The only problem I have with this is a philosophical one. I think this is great for PvP because it solves a problem, which is there are times when play groups really are at an impasse and you need to figure out a way to make it work. And that could just be rock, paper, scissors, or it could be this power and a die roll. But always, just from a standpoint of, a healthy play experience, I always try to resolve that kind of shit out of game.
Right, but this is this is so that I have a power, it does something, and it's in the rules. Because, again, every play group can decide however they want. They can have a fencing duel. It doesn't matter how they actually do it. Everybody's going to do homebrew when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
But this means there is a written out mechanic. Your power has weight.
Mm-hmm.
Now, people can ignore it all day long, kind of like we do with dodge. But at the same time, the dodge feat.
Yeah.
However, this says, oh, you want to roll against, so for instance, are we going north or south? We're going north, I bid make it so, boom. And then, not to pick on any one person, but Jacob might say something like, oh yeah, well fuck that, I'm going to use all this shit and roll against you. Because he knows he can win that fight.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as it turns out, all of your dice are impaired. It says so in the power. So he can blow the load, but it's this idea of this person has the tome of fucking command.
Yeah.
For the moment, everyone does what they want.
Mm.
Unless they're really good, or unless they mutiny. And it's like, okay, well, everyone has, any movie where it's like, are you really going to mutiny? And everyone, kind of shuts down, because mutiny's a big fucking deal to do. You will get murdered for doing it. Right?
Yeah.
This, in a way, mechanically shows, look, the Tome of Command is a lot about fluff, but you're the fucking commander. You haven't just taken a bunch of stupid powers. The game should weigh in on it. That's where that's coming from. But maybe it's...
I like it. The mechanics of this work.
It's heavy-handed. I'll give it that.
I like the Tome of Command, but there is a difference, and it needs to be. It is said in this book, but there is a difference between relying on a game mechanic to solve a discrepancy within the play group. As like, no. I know you all disagree with me, but I have this in-game thing that means I get my way for this out-of-game disagreement, right? Versus the characters all want to do different things, and the one character is like, well, I'm the captain, and my NPC crew listen to me. Guys, make it so. And they all run off and do the thing, and then the other characters are left like, oh yeah, well I guess that makes sense. If it's an issue between players, sometimes relying on in-game power, in-game authority, makes the problem worse over time.
I agree.
But I think it's great. I was just getting on a soapbox for a second.
Well, and I mean, it was kind of like we ran a game at the Renaissance Fair in Kentucky, the Kentucky Renaissance Fair, and it was for a bunch of people that, for the most part, hadn't played. And he ran the first part, had to leave. I ran the second part, botched his story, but it was still kind of fun. You had a bunch of people that didn't know each other, and it's in a very narrative game. We were sort of playing DreadLore light, actually. And there was a point where you had the quintessential problem player. I don't know if you remember this guy. He was very abrasive. He was very creative, but just at the drop of a hat would do PvP. And then you had people that kind of were like the opposite of that. And one of the things that we did was we were like, okay, narratively, you guys are all a mercenary band, but you respect rank. And so we made one of them the corporal. So they had just a little bit more rank. Never came into play until the very end. It was down to the crux. Do they try? It was a big mystery thing. Do they kill the big priest guy thinking that he's a demon worshiper? The thing is, they don't know if he is or not. And it was a big deal. It almost like out of game went like, I'm not going to say to blows, but it almost blew up. And I was able to step in as the arbiter, actually as an arbiter, and be like, look, you guys need to decide this in game, but you have ranks, and this dude has rank on you all. When it comes down to it, I'm coming in, arbiter style, you decide. And he decided, and everything was cool, and it was really fun. So there is a way of dealing with the meta aspect, and it was supported by the narrative. Granted, people could have been like, fuck this, but whatever. Shall we move on, or do we need to do something here?
Do we want to explicitly say that the abilities these grant have more narrative oomph than the others, or is it good as is? Like, do we need another thing?
What do you guys think?
And maybe this note is good because it's like these are win case scenarios. Oh, I see. Yeah, I think it's great as written. Yeah, I think the stuff that you and I are talking about is an Arbiter's Toolbox thing of like handling meta problems, using the narrative, using game mechanics to handle narrative problems in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is great. And the situation you described, like, it was set up so that it could be dealt with in game. Right? That was also an accepted narrative versus well, actually, this thing says I win.
That's true. If someone had make it so, and so was the corporal, then it would have been like, well, okay, I bid corporal. Okay, well, I bid make it so.
Yeah.
Then again, you have to respect the game. It's like, if you have make it so, then sorry about your rank, but so-and-so mutinies. And that, okay, let's go to rolls. The dice don't lie.
Yeah.
In my opinion, if players, it's like the dreaded drama die. If players go for the dreaded drama die. And they're like, nope, we're not going to use our minds anymore. We can't decide. We're letting a die roll decide. Well, that's it. It's all up. The gig is up. We're rolling a die now. So I think if somebody drops make it so, now you've gone to throwing down.
Yeah.
Cool.
The trick really is just not letting it get to that point.
Anonymous Muth.
You know?
Yes. Theurgic expertise.
We did
Journals of Theurgy is wrong.
It is.
What is it? Wait, is it journals?
No, that's not.
Is it manuals?
We're too far.
Oh, I've got to go all the way up here.
Broad types. That one. It's
Manuals.
Manuals.
God damn. Okay. Manuals of Theurgy. Who's the anonymous moose?
And we need to make that a heading. No one. They're gone. It's heading 3.
Done. FOA. Boop. Journal of Alchemy. The Alchemist of Craster. Is it spelled with a C or a K? I think
We
it's a
were
C.
inconsistent on purpose.
On purpose?
On purpose.
The Alchemist of Craster have the unbelievable task of extracting and combining raw power from the elements of the realms. Some root themselves in the purely chemical, using their time to pore over elixirs, there's a pun there, poisons, toxins, and the like, while others tend toward nature and rendering base pigments from what they can find. Either requires processes both dangerous and time-consuming, and tend to render the alchemist somewhat loony. We do not describe to you what affinity means. We just say it.
It doesn't exist anymore.
It does exist. You get that automatically. You do. From this point on, you start gaining affinities.
Really?
Yeah. You get them in Magicka too.
Okay.
Pretty sure. Let me super check real quick. Yeah, see? They're all over the place.
Oh God.
So, we need to describe what an affinity is. The idea is, for choosing alchemy, you gain an affinity. Now, of course, that means choosing alchemy, you gain something you would not if you chose a normal expertise. That said, choosing alchemy is much more along the lines of item creation.
Yeah.
And so this gives you an immediate, you're an alchemist, you can do shit people can't do.
Right. The difference being other people can do like Tome of Command and stuff on the fly. Alchemy is, yeah, you can make stuff, but you have to have the resources to do it. You have to have raw material.
Yep. Codex of Masteries. Let me pop this. We need to describe that I feel in expertise.
Okay.
Wait, do we talk about any of the other ones in expertise? Yeah. I think we should talk about it in expertise, what an affinity is.
Okay.
Because this is the go-to for it. Unless we do already. And I don't think we do.
This is resolved.
Okay. Where are you, anonymous moose? Make yourself known. So what an affinity is, so you guys know, guys, gals, and etc. An affinity means once you've gained the power, it's something you just get. This is different. The reason we have this is there's this 3-step process to gaining expertise. You get the broad type, Manuals of Theurgy. You get the subtype, Journal of Alchemy. Well, you can, those are 2 traits you can bid. To do stuff, and essentially what you're able to do is narratively be kind of like an alchemist apprentice. You don't really get the power until you start getting discoveries, such as the Extractor's Resolve. The problem is, which we already said, when you get Journal of Alchemy, it's kind of a bland power. Like, yes, you have the trait. You can say, oh yeah, I've studied this language. Like, I've studied Russian, for instance. I can say, like, 3 words. Ben has studied Japanese. He can say a few things.
Like 3 words.
You know?
Hikoiki.
What does that mean?
Airplane.
There you go.
That's how useful it is.
But it's not that useful. Whereas Tome of Mastery, you can use it all day pretty easily. So Affinity kind of bridges that gap. If you take Journal of Alchemy, boom, you have an affinity. Everyone that's an alchemist, whether they're a student or whether they're a master, has this affinity. And we do the same thing with Magicka. Did you type stuff?
I put a comment on
Cool.
gaining and improving in that section. I was like, add something about affinities.
Okay.
Add description of affinity. So the affinity you get for this journal is the basics. And you get polar. Oh, shit. You get polars.
Polars!
Should affinities give traits? Oh, fuck
Yeah,
it.
because then you can't use them.
Yeah.
Well, you could use them, but...
Many a Zen might call themselves an apothecary, or even toss around the old title, alchemist. But the community can spot a charlatan in their midst with a swiftness. Anyone who is truly learned enough to be called an alchemist knows the basics of how to render polars, acids, and bases from natural means. True alchemists can do this almost unerringly, assuming they have access to the necessary compounds and tools. The process takes several minutes to create a weak polar and rarely requires anything more than an appropriate bid and avoiding a mishap on one's chaos die. I'm going to put avoidance of, keep things in the same case. It rarely requires anything more than an appropriate bid and avoidance of a mishap.
Yep.
So, we have...
Now, I want you to know, I did not write these. Just so you know.
Was it Eric?
It was Eric. Eric wrote these. Now, I went through and added little bits and pieces.
Yeah. So, we have...
We got to get through it. We got
Right.
30 minutes, 31 minutes.
What I mean is,
Oh,
we
you're
gotta
talking
get
about subtypes.
we gotta get through it. So yeah, let's just start fucking doing it. We're gonna blend these two because there's only got 2 of them.
Although, do you know what they do? Okay.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna get through it. We got 30 minutes, right?
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you. So the inventor's mind and the inventor's vision, those should be traits. Okay. All right. Here we are. So these are fully formed and should probably be 2 different journals. Unfortunately. So the first Journal of Alchemy is the Extractor's Resolve. It deals with the extracting and manipulation of fundamental pigment and pre-made elixir. My mouth is like jelly.
I feel it. That's me all the fucking time. See, that's what happens when you talk a lot.
Chemist gives you analyze. Alchemists
He
known
didn't like
as
that at all.
alchemists known as chemists are able to analyze the fundamental pigments included in an alchemical compound, elixirs, mixers, poisons, etc. If an alchemist is well acquainted with a set of pigments, all they need is to eyeball a compound or take a mostly harmless sip of it to identify these pigments. Some elixirs require them to make use of laboratory equipment to get the job done. With an appropriate bid, chemists gain an additional success.
I retract what I said. Eric came up with the names, titles, and the basics of what they do. I clearly wrote out the descriptions. Because you're going to see a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, gain 1 bonus success when throwing down.
And analyze it.
2 analyze.
2 analyze, right? Nope. No, 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 no. We don't bracket it.
It's been bracketed this whole time. We passed it being bracketed.
Oh.
We do not. We gotta deal with that later.
Okay. But we don't bracket it anywhere else.
Okay.
Ooh, hold on. Who's this?
It's Badger.
Anonymous Badger. Who's Anonymous Badger?
Hold on.
Tell us.
She still hasn't said anything. Megan, you have abandoned us.
Oh shit. I fucked up. I just want to see what they're looking at, sorry. The Antillean lowly ohms. We see what you're looking at. Okay. Go down.
I got it.
I think the mouse wheel is kind of shitty. You fucked up.
It's
You're up
slow.
and find. Haha. There you go. For real though, brackets are not on throwing down. I would say, we can just make a note of it. Or, okay, do that. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it works.
I love it. Herbalist. Excuse me. Herbalist. Decipher. Herbalists are alchemists who follow another path. Rather than holding themselves up in laboratories, I did not write this. These venture into the wide world of the natural realm.
That is correct.
And into even other realms, seeking pigments which naturally occur. Which occur naturally there. Which occur naturally there. I'll let you deal with it in a second. Herbalists are able to decipher which compounds in nature contain fundamental pigments. Herbalists are especially adept at identifying medicinal or toxic
Or toxic. Yeah. Never mind.
Okay. Or toxic compounds and their various effects. And with an appropriate bid, they gain an additional 1 success when throwing down when attempting to do so.
Copy paste it.
Oh yeah, where? Gain 1 of them in there. What? Oh, it's stalled.
I have no more interwebs.
Oh, did it die?
Well, I'm on cellular.
Sorry, repeat the question. Noni says hello, Will. Hello, Noni. Or is it Noni? Say hello.
Hello.
Hello, Noni.
Hello, Noni.
It is good to see you. We're glad you're here. Any advice, any suggestions would be appreciated. Thanks. Alright. And with an appropriate bid, they gain 1 bonus success when throwing down. How about just, we don't need.
While attempting to do so.
Okay. While attempting to do so.
Distillation. Distill. Those who are practiced enough to distill an elixir so as to pull apart its alchemical makeup are known as distillers. The process almost always requires the use of laboratory equipment. Distillers learn to break down compounds into their various elements so that they might render the fundamental pigments of which it is comprised.
Composed?
What does it have a problem? Comprised actually is good.
Whatever.
They do not have control over which pigments are rendered. Okay, let me edit.
Cool. I don't think we should call them distillers. I think they just know the process of distillation. Because they are alchemists who can distill stuff. How did I put my mug? Oh, it's outside.
learn to break down compounds into their various elements so that they might render the fundamental pigments of which they are. Why does it have a problem with that word? Let's see. Saurus comprised. Compose, make up, consist of. To be part of construction. To make or form by combining things, parts, or elements. To include or contain, to consist of, be composed of, to form or constitute. Used with an object. So maybe it's just a passive tense thing. I don't like it. I don't remember what the question was, Megan. Okay. Mixologist, they infuse. Identifying pigments is one thing, but putting them to proper use is another. A mixologist is able to infuse pigments into one another in order to create new elixirs, improve on existing ones, or counteract an elixir's effects. That's cool. Purifier, they get purify. The ability to render fundamental pigments is only superseded by the ability to purify those pigments. Purifiers are able to render primary pigments from secondary pigments. Only a few alchemists can truly claim they have mastered this art. The process is extremely dangerous, incurring a minimum mishap danger level of 4+. Should probably be defined prior to this.
I'm glad to live
All right.
I do not know the rest of that song.
So
All down in my
this is fixed. We got 20 minutes.
the pride of We're gonna fucking finish.
We got 20 minutes.
Well, we're gonna finish.
I fixed Distill. It
Jesus,
basically-
you fixed it. Okay.
It just redefined what distillation is like 3 times. So I did it once.
I didn't do it. Probably. Maybe.
Um,
There's plenty of times I've done that before. To distill an elixir almost always requires language. Render them down. Fundamental pigments. Proposed. They do not have control over which pigments are rendered by the process. It might be interesting to gain distill as well as fundamental pigments. And that way they can identify those fundamental pigments. Now I know it says up here, identifying medicinal or toxic compounds, but it'd be kind of cool for this power to give them the ability to define things. Or not define, but identify. Unless we do it earlier.
To hole up is fine.
Oh no, it says it right here. To identify these pigments. Okay, so they get it from chemist.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think it's covered. Plus, there's the whole other tree, and I want to see what that does before we start adding shit.
Yeah. Okay.
So read mixologist and purify.
Mixologist, infuse identified pigments is one thing, but putting them to proper use is another. A mixologist, I did not write that. Whatever. Mixologist is able to infuse pigments into one another in order to create new elixirs, improve on existing ones, or counteract an elixir's effects. Okay, this is great, except it doesn't really give you a mechanical bonus.
Yeah, it does. You're creating new elixirs.
A player without this will still try to do it.
Oh, it doesn't like comprise for some reason. Google doesn't like the word. No matter what tense you use it in, it always recommends compose, and they mean the same thing.
I think we're back on. You probably need to repeat what you just said, because OBS is the thing that streams.
Yeah. Are we back on now?
Yeah, we should be back on that.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, the OBS just dropped for some reason.
On us. Megan, for some reason Google doesn't like the word comprise. We're good. Compose is in the definition of comprise. I prefer comprise, but for some reason it doesn't like it.
And we hate the squiggly lines.
Yeah. Well, we could just make it ignore it. I think mixologist is fine. And using it as a term for them, I just made it lowercase.
Agreed.
So, how you get new elixirs, new discoveries, is by trying something that hasn't been done before, and then eventually you unlock it. Like you take a penalty to the roll, and then you unlock it, and then you don't take the penalty anymore. Like you have to increase the number of successes you get, right? The trick with this is we've got a whole list of pre-existing stuff that you can make with alchemy, and this is like, I don't know what to do. I don't remember what it's called. You're poisoned. How do I get rid of the poison? Drink this. And what this allows you to do is figure it out on the fly, which normally you would be taking massive penalties for, and it would be very dangerous. And this makes it easier.
Okay.
I think there's a place for it.
I think there's absolutely a place for it. However, everything you said is not explicitly said. And the reason that Eric did these is because he was playing an alchemist, and he was like, look, there's no expertise for alchemists, and there need to be.
Yeah.
So they haven't been built out in those terms. And they should be, because this is a power.
Normally,
I say we put that at the beginning of alchemy, and it applies to everything under alchemy. Normally, if you don't have this shit, it's all impaired when you're trying to do it. Something like that. There's just a blanket if you're an alchemist, because like you said, we're explicitly saying what an alchemist can do. So if you don't have that thing, you're impaired.
Yeah. Or worse.
Or worse.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that term. You're impaired or worse unless you explicitly have this.
Yeah.
That way it matters even to an alchemist who's trying to get these things.
Repurifier.
I am the purifier. The ability to render fundamental pigments is only superseded by the ability to purify those pigments. Purifiers are able to render primary pigments from secondary pigments, which we have not talked about, although I do think we do.
We don't talk about danger level either.
No, we don't. Only a few alchemists can truly claim they have mastered this art, aka player characters and really powerful NPCs that have sideburns. The process is extremely dangerous, incurring a minimum mishap danger level 4+, whatever the F that means. So, do you have a problem with purifier?
No.
Okay. So I say, up here, we talk about all of that shit. Let's make a list real fast of that shit we're going to talk about. Comment it, continue.
All right.
So,
mishap dice.
Mishap
dice and danger
dice.
level.
And we just did this. Danger levels. You are
Impaired or worse if you don't have this shit.
impaired or worse if you don't have this shit.
If you don't got this shit, please.
The British. Anything else?
That's all I can think of right now.
And try to mix. And try to alchemy. Okay. Comments. Boop. Make do. Make do happen. Okay.
Yep.
And help, or just help add.
How?
Actually, help is one. It's like this is here, but oh my god. All right, experimenter's guide.
Experimenting with
Compound constitutes formula. That could be like a sentence in and of itself. Oh, I see. Words for comprise. Mr.
Yeah.
Mom Willow. My mom Willow. Oh, hi Willow. Yeah, it's her mom, Willow.
Mm. So, Experimenter's Guide is all about creating new elixirs. So maybe we don't need Mixologist.
Mixologist is you're able to infuse pigments into another in order to create new elixirs. Okay, improve on existing ones to counteract the elixir's effect. Creating new operate as expected versus extractors. So what Eric did, he made these different titles. Granted, it was with a different system of differentiation, but he did them. He categorized them that way on purpose.
Right.
So that's why there's a little bit of bleed because we've combined.
Right.
So we need to come back and figure that out. I don't know. Extractors resolve. Yeah, you're right. We need to move mixologist. It needs to be down here, and probably something down here needs to be up there.
Yep.
Let's continue.
And we'll have to make them separate journals.
Yeah, we do. Okay, so let's move into
Experimenter's Guide.
Experimenter's guide, whatever. Doesn't have to be right.
Yep.
Let me destroy that really quick.
Yep.
Experimenting with and creating new elixirs that operate as expected. Happy accident. In the early years of alchemy, a breakthrough was more a happy accident than anything planned. When you mix pigments to create brews, and critically fail at creating what was intended, with an appropriate bid, gain a bonus 1 success on your next attempt. The bonus is spent once you make your next attempt. These bonuses stack for the purposes of creating your intended elixir, or one similar to it.
So eventually you will succeed after X number of critical failures. It says to critically fail.
Yeah. I didn't write it.
It's really hard to critically fail.
It's very hard to critically fail. This is actually what players do. I do that a lot until I have 10 successes. Okay, I make it. Like you just have a dude come in and destroy laboratories. I'm critically failing on purpose. He thinks better with a bat. Fuck everyone.
You come out with like 3 drops of the thing you wanted to make. We have our prototype, gentlemen. And just fire behind them.
Oh, okay. We need a better one.
How about just when you fail?
Yeah. Is fail a term? I think it's just fail.
I don't remember.
How about?
You need a cheat sheet.
Eric is on here. Yeah, we be talking shit about you, Eric.
Is he on here?
Eric should be on here. We talking shit about your fucking alchemy bullshit. And you don't know how to type. It's all his fault. Is this right? This is not right. 1 bonus. I'll let you do it.
Yeah. Well, because this is killing me. This being a clause.
Do your thing.
Anytime you mix pigments to create brews and fail at creating what was intended, You may bid an appropriate trait to gain 1 bonus success on your next attempt. To make it. To create it.
I believe this power is a level 3 or 4 power. I know it's spirit, but it will not actually work out this way. Because what this means is, if you fail at, let's say, creating God juice, well, how many successes do you need? 40. Okay. You're gonna create God juice.
How about this?
Still gonna create. Oh, you only get 1.
You cannot bank or stack this bonus.
That's interesting.
With repeated failures.
Okay, in that regard, you shouldn't have to bid. Because really what you're doing is, you could, well...
Yeah, I mean, you just get this as
just
a
gain that,
power,
yeah.
and happy accident, you bid for extra dice.
Yeah, if you fuck up, you gain a success.
Yep.
And you only have 1. That way you could essentially be like, well, when I create an elixir, I always get a +1 because I fucked up something. And that makes sense. Like, as an arbiter, I'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. You've advanced into this, okay.
Yeah.
I would actually be okay with someone saying, I always have a success towards it.
Sure.
In which case, how about you just have a success towards making new elixirs?
Yeah, you're just better at it. Anytime you mix pigments to create brews.
Put it in the fluff. You have failed many times,
I was
and
gonna
therefore...
say, yeah.
I like the failing aspect. It's just, it needs to be in the fluff.
Have failed enough to have failed forward into
Success.
into gaining 1 bonus success.
I like the idea. Go on.
No,
Making new shit.
making
New elixirs.
on performing alchemy.
Oh, there you go. Performing alchemy. Yeah, that just makes it better.
Alchemy. You cannot bank.
I really want there to be. Is there a period?
No, there will be.
I really like the idea of adding in the fluff something like the Michael Jordan quote of every success, but you failed 99 times or something like that. I really like that sort of thing, but that's a fluff thing. And we need to get through some shit, so I'll just suggest it. Michael Jordan
failed
quote.
99 times.
Fail 99 times. Succeed for every success. For every success. Tough skin, resilience, and tanning. Alchemists gain a certain level of resilience to the effects of the chemicals they play with, and after years of exposure, gain a peculiar sheen to their skin known as tanning. Resilience and tanning can be used as plot armor in the appropriate situation. I love it. You just get plot armor.
You
for
have
this.
tanned leather flesh.
You know, I think we should call it. Peculiar sheen. I like that. Because there was a moment where I was reading it and I was like, are we saying something kind of bigotry here?
No.
Okay.
It's a sheen.
It's a sheen. Yeah, but tanning mean your skin is brown.
They're referring to tanning hide.
Yep.
And not tanning beds.
Indeed, fucking salt life, go suck my dick. All right, 2.
These traits maybe.
Oh, yeah.
These expertise traits can be used as plot armor.
Uses plot armor
In the appropriate situation.
in the appropriate situation if not exhausted.
Well, you can't use it if they're exhausted.
Okay. 5,000 hours.
Proficiency. Yeah. Your experience using elixirs and the fundamental pigments affords you a level of proficiency when using them. When utilizing, I don't like it. When utilizing or mixing alchemical elixirs, your chaos die is reduced by 1 step. You want it boosted. You want to boost that. Prerequisite: your character should either thematically or in-game have a lot of experience using elixirs. Should be boosted. Won't boost it.
So, what are we going to use other than proficiency because of naming convention? Expertise? See, this is the trial and tribulation of writing a book. I know it seems minor and semantic argumentally. Please stop that. Please stop what?
What did he do?
What, not what did I do? What have I been doing? Please stop that.
Is it singing?
I have no idea.
Oh, Danny
Listen,
boy.
you can go, all
He
right?
sings well.
Oh, Danny boy. Listen, I will sing the shit out. Do not fucking tell me to stop singing Oh, Danny boy. I don't even know the rest of the verses. That's the only verse I know. You know when like you're really sick and you want to throw up? Like, for real, I'll get like the worst song stuck in my head and it'll just keep on going. And it'll make me throw up.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Make you throw up.
For real, because I think it's my body's way of like manifesting. Please do this, and it'll be like it'll be like the never-ending song or something,
Get out.
or the song that doesn't end or whatever. Okay, what's a good thing for 5,000 hours? What do you pay your dues or something?
Yeah. Well, proficiency, expertise.
Well, that's just because the sentence is built that way. Your experience using elixirs, your many hours using elixirs and the fundamental pigments.
You should just make the trait bananas,
No.
and you're so comfortable mixing that you can just go bananas without consequence. Go bananas with that power mixer. Like an
I'm
egg,
not letting you put bananas in the game
like
again.
an egg beater. Wow.
Listen, I'm just saying, if you want me to go bananas with this, I will allow bananas to be a thing. Don't even
I'm just
past me.
fucking with your insistence to keep it in the game, despite being a placeholder.
What does 5,000 hours give you? It gives you confidence. How about confidence? A level of confidence. When your many hours spent whiling over elixirs
Savvy?
and the fundamental pigments affords you a level of confidence when using them.
Savviness?
Savviness?
I like confidence too.
When utilizing or mixing alchemical elixirs, your chaos die is boosted by 1 step. Prerequisite: your character should either thematically or in-game have spent a lot of experience using elixirs. Cool.
Yeah. Determinist. Determine. Messing up has its perks. After 10,000 hours or so of mixing... 10,000, Jesus.
It should be expert. But whatever.
Mixing with the fundamental pigments. You reach a level of proficiency in your craft where you may determine outcomes others leave to chance. A determinist can decide the side effects of the elixirs they personally mix and may choose from the appropriate table. See, mixing every day.
Yes. That should be... Oh, and whatever. Yeah, we'll go with this.
It just makes me think of that horrible rap about the wizards.
That's where it comes from.
Okay.
Where the fuck do you think it got it from?
I don't know.
Come on! Why is... Oh, this is...
There's just a random...
Just fucking... It's just in parentheses. Parentheticals. Side effect. Side effect, should it be bracketed?
Not right now.
Okay. Perfectionist. Gains your perfection. While other alchemists struggle with the side effects of their brews, the perfectionist... God damn it, Eric. The perfectionist is able to mix elixirs without a side effect. In order to achieve this level of perfection, the alchemist must exceed the normal mixing threshold for the attempted elixir by double. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Okay, it may have been me, but I don't think it was. While other alchemists struggle with the side effects of their brews, the perfectionist is able to mix elixirs without a side effect. I don't like the way it sounds, but whatever, it makes sense. In order to achieve this level of perfection, I'm okay with that.
You is able.
You is able. Yeah.
The alchemist must
double the normal, not double the mixing threshold. Jesus, that's really hard.
Must double the number of successes
required
by the difficulty. Wait, we omitted that.
Yeah, we can just say we
By
didn't necessarily, but we can say threshold.
By
It really should just be threshold.
by the threshold for mixing
The elixir. Or for the mix.
desired
Elixir.
elixir.
That's really hard. I honestly don't think it should be double. I think it should say like plus 5 successes or something, or plus 3 successes.
Well, adding 5 successes may be more than double.
That's true. Still, if the DC is okay, sure,
I mean,
it scales in a way.
When is the threshold?
I want to say the threshold for life wine is like 8 or 10.
Really?
Yeah, it's really fucking high. Turns out it's like 3. Okay, so we're good here. Let's put a note. Should it be
Less heinous.
less heinous?
Or do something like 150% rounding up.
Yeah, but people don't like math, dude. You should know that I enjoy your singing and your music in general. It was going back in contradicting, but you eventually moved on. It's not your singing. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I know. It's not your singing, you twat.
It's you.
You knob! Alright. Journal of Marvel Making. These students of Theurgy are known in the wider Theurgic community as Marvel Makers. Those who develop the components to make great marvels and the clockwork devices known as Sprock. The journals of marvel making are, by and large, incomplete. So, I'm going to make this like so. Theurgists tend to hide their findings and are loath to share their lifelong secrets. It is said that the most complete journals are kept hidden away in the Bone Sun City in the vaults of the Arcade. Inventor's Mind and Vision. So you did that for a note.
Yeah.
Let me make one addition here. I hate it when it does that. What's it called? It's Ninja Gear. What's it called? I can't remember. No, we'll do this. Module 6? Is that no? Module 6 is magical. No, module 7. Whatever. Okay, I want to pop down here. I wish I knew where it was, but I don't. One of the things that I'm doing, annals, grimoires, tomes, and other texts. I'm making the lists that we're actually throwing down. So that we can actually reference these things later.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And then what was it? The halls of the arcade. What is it? I'm doing this because it's the idea of Alexander's library. It's in Ninja Gear. It's an idea of like people can go through it and be like, oh, I want to go find the halls of the arcade,
Right.
or whatever. And we're not just mentioning it one time, which is kind of what's going on right now. Okay, halls of antiquity, halls of the arcade. So it wasn't called that. God damn it. Where were we?
Just type in.
Marvel making.
Yeah.
Journal of Michael make it. Vaults of the arcade.
Vaults, that's a place.
It is a place.
It's not like it's home or anything.
Right.
So it doesn't really need to be in the list, or does it need to be in the list?
Well, it needs to be in the list because it's a place that you can find and we can put it somewhere
Stuff.
else or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this gives you the affinity of Marvel Maker. You get the Vision.
I didn't do this.
An average Zen and even an average deity cannot make marvels. It is fucking period. Damn
Call it a full stop.
it. It is simply not within their wheelhouse.
Should be a semicolon.
It could be a semicolon. An average Zen and even an average deity cannot make marvels. I think it would be better as a period or a hyphen,
Make it a hyphen.
just because you don't want it to be period.
Nope. A Marvel maker, however, possesses what some call the spark, and the Theurgic community calls
The Vision.
the vision. Those with the vision are able to see the marvel they wish to create, repair, or understand within their mind's eye. They are not always successful, but have the aptitude. I'm not 100% sure what that power does. I get it, but it needs to be described in a different way.
It's like you can see the blueprint in your mind,
You've got
like the exploded view.
Right, that. The Iron Man thing, the Michelangelo thing. However we
Yeah.
describe it, it needs to show that you can see 3D shit in your brain. Because how do you use it? You say, well, I have the affinity, I have the vision. Okay, well, how do you bid it? I look at this rock and make shit.
They can see the blueprints of the marvel they wish to create, repair, or understand within their mind's eye.
I just say, you don't even need the last part. I understand why he put the last part there, because they're not a genius. They just have the vision.
Are often able to see the blueprints of the marvel they wish to see.
Although not without, not impurity. What's the word I'm looking for? Error. Although sometimes erroneous, those with the vision are often able to see the blueprints of the marvel they wish to create, repair, or understand within their mind's eye. Albeit, well, however you want to put it.
This exploded view
Is not without error.
diagram of the mind is not necessarily without error.
Quick and dirty. Now, we need an actual title here, as per whatever, right?
No, we don't, because we're not competing with anything else.
It's just the Journal of Marvel.
Yeah, you don't want, what we don't want is the title.
Right,
We're getting rid of the titles.
Marvel Maker. Every day. Alright, quick and dirty. MacGyver, temporary.
You can MacGyver components for Sprock to make minor repairs on the fly. These components are considered temporary. Your creativity can generally take mundane items and find uses for them.
Okay, we need a
I think we get rid of temporary.
okay, sure.
These components are stop gap measures and will break under strain or prolonged use.
Got that stow gap.
Stow gap.
We need a note under Marvel making that says that if you don't have these, either you just can't do it, or your shit tends to fall apart. Like those without the vision, like maybe they can only work on clockwork stuff. We need something that means,
Well, in general, if you don't have the expertise, you can't do it.
this is true. That's true.
Yeah.
Although with alchemy, if I have two bottles, I can just bloop, bloop, bloop. I mean, anybody can do that.
Yeah, you can do the physical action. You have no idea what it's going to be. Like
Do we want to impair the rolls, or do you think it's good the way it is?
I think it's good the way it is. I mean, well, think about it. The idea is like, oh, I need to make something sprock out of this stuff in my bag. I need to make a sprock thing, crowbar. Crowbar is not good enough. How do I make this crowbar better? Oh, we'll give it like a hydraulic thing. How do you make that? You're either a Theurgist and you can do it, or you just keep trying to use the crowbar as is.
Yeah,
Like, there's a point there where you can't do it.
I feel like though, if it's not already said, and maybe it is, but if you like what you just said, needs to be explicitly said. I think in the beginning of Marvel making, because otherwise,
Well, it's said at the beginning of Module 4. Like,
The
expertise
okay.
gives you stuff that you can't
all
otherwise
right,
do.
fair enough, good argument. Chief engineer. Over an appropriate amount of time, you can concentrate to engineer a working idea for tasks you need to accomplish with surprising results. That doesn't sound good. After the time has passed, with an appropriate bid, roll a bonus die 4 and gain the resultant successes for your plan of action or your attempt to build a marvel. That's a good power. Planning the idea is not necessarily carrying the idea out, of course, and doing so would require another bout of intense concentration. It needs to be reworded, but it's a cool power. It's also powerful. Like, I get 4 extra successes. Or an average of 2 extra successes. It's pretty good.
I think it should read, so you basically draw out the blueprints and shit,
Mm-hmm.
and then when
Go on.
like exacting a toll, wouldn't that be to take something away?
You can exact a plan. I'm pretty sure it means to put forth.
You can?
I think so. To exact revenge.
I was going to say, I've got the dictionary.com thing pulled up.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well. Oh, man.
Exact.
Exact. It's going to give us like 18.
You can go to the verb. It's
Odd. Indeed.
It's around. Verb.
To call for, demand, or require, to force or compel the payment, yielding, or performance of. It might not be the best usage of it.
It doesn't work.
What did you say? What was your
I
verb?
liked engineer.
Okay, well, fuck it.
Engineer is good. So I think that needs to, yeah. The big thing is, like, it's ambiguous in some ways. This basically says that you spend time planning, and then when you try to make the thing you've planned out,
Mm-hmm.
you get a D4.
Really, what it should be is you can concentrate a certain number of rounds, and that, just like aiming, maybe it has a maximum or something, and then if you do that, then you get that as successes. But the thing is when are you gonna fucking do that? Like, if you're in the montage, you just bid chief engineer and you're good, or engineer, you know, because based on the other things, like, if you're in combat or if you're in an encounter, for instance, I can see it on the fly.
What if it is you spend a montage plotting out, like drafting blueprints, and then at the end of the, like when you go to build it, you get a D4 in successes? I'm being too quiet. What I'm saying is you have to spend a montage to do this. And that way you're sinking in time.
Yeah, and I do like the idea of literally using the mode.
Yeah.
As in players being like, I need a montage so I can get a big old D4.
Yeah.
And maybe you can even bank montages.
Yeah. So let's do that.
Like, let's say you go through 4 montages, you get 4 D4 of fucking successes towards both of
Jesus.
them.
Um,
After a montage has passed.
spend a montage to engineer a working idea or blueprint for tasks you need to accomplish.
How about for a task? Well, okay,
Or
task is
for,
fine.
For designs.
Yeah, yeah.
For designs you are drafting.
How about just gain a bonus D4?
Gain technically would be an extra die.
Yeah, you're right. Well, no, an extra die means
What if it's like this? What if you get no, it still works. It still works. Trust me.
okay. You've been trusted.
Gain a D4. Yeah, that's right. Extra. Because it doesn't have to be the die you get from training.
No, that's correct. It's just usually when I think of extra die, I think of training. And when it comes to like a die that just the result gives you successes, I think of it as a bonus die. But that may not be the convention we used. Like on the other powers when you roll
Oh, you
it.
know what? You're right. Because it's D4 bonus successes. It's
Right.
not gain a D4.
Right.
Gain, yeah. Okay, so that is, so you gain D4 bonus successes on your roll to enact the plan and build the marvel. There's a double space there or something.
Yeah.
Gain D4.
Shouldn't it be an additional?
It's a bonus. Bonus by
That's-
definition is additional.
I could read it as gain D4 bonus success. Well, you're right, bonus. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sure.
Planning the idea is not necessarily carrying the idea out, of course, and doing so will require another bout of intense concept. That's not needed.
No, it's not.
You don't need to. Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah. Because the
muddies
rule
the
allows you to
water.
do what you need to do. And honestly, this may not even need that much fluff because you have spend a montage doing the thing.
I think it's good.
All right,
Powerful.
creator. Jerry-rigged rather than formed together like clockwork.
Ill-conceived. I like that.
Creating the designs that you come up with is a whole new task. You have become able to make your ideas a reality. You, however, cannot build another designer's ideas. You know, I honestly think this could just be taken out.
I think the whole thing can be taken out. All of it.
What is he trying to say here?
You can make stuff.
Or that you don't already possess by this point.
Yeah.
But we could give it something else.
Well, here's the thing I've got in my back pocket. We've got these two to toss in.
Okay, do it. Also, there's another creator. Oh, yeah. I thought you were up top. I was like, shit, there's like multiples.
Yeah, so you got 1A, 1B, and then 3.
So move that shit down.
Mechanic. You are one of a handful of inventors that can have the title of mechanic.
Hey, what's that mean?
You have surpassed simply designing and creating. You can design and create on the spot. If you have the necessary if the supplies necessary are available. Fuck. Who knows? You might even be able to repair a world machine. Hint, hint. Hint, hint.
Oh yeah, that wasn't me. Okay, it wasn't not me.
It was not to me.
Mechanic. Actually, I would prefer that.
Developers.
Okay, let's move the other one down here for my sanity, please.
Yep. Let me have it.
Give it to me.
Well, I wasn't doing that because we may decide one of them's a 3.
Oh, right.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Right, love, right.
No problem.
All right. God.
You design and create on the spot. Okay, so what that means is, your chaos die should go up 1. That's what that means. There you go. You're trying to jury rig shit on the spot. You got a better chaos die. Easy.
You are one of a handful.
You are a handful.
One of a handful of inventors. A handful.
You're a handful.
You're a handful, son of a bitch, aren't you? Is that it? It says it's a word. Is that right?
You're a handful.
Is that the same as handful? Handful. What does that fucking mean? The quantity or amount that the hand can hold. A small amount, number, or quantity. Yeah, a person or a thing that is as much as one can manage or control. Makes him a handful.
Alright.
Is it right?
It's right.
Is this right?
Your hand is full. That's what that means. It's wrong. Full hands. Alright. You are
What of a
one
handful?
of inventors that has the title.
Are we giving them the title?
I think... How about that can engineer things on the spot? You are... How about you are one of a handful of inventors. You are one of a handful of inventors that is able... The problem is we don't know what we're trying to do here. You can create something
I'm
on
trying
this...
to get rid of the title.
Yeah,
You're hold on. You are one of a handful of inventors that
does Theurgy like Magica? That's
that
essentially what
has surpassed simply designing and creating.
That's the same thing as MacGyver. You're able to MacGyver something, but it's long lasting. That's what it is. You can make a marvel at the drop of a hat, which really breaks things, and you shouldn't be able to do it.
You can design and create a marvel what? Oh, caps lock.
Yeah. Hold on. There you go.
Thanks. You were waiting for that. You can design and create Marvel Comics. You can design and create a Marvel on the spot if the supplies necessary to do so. That just reads weird. Sorry. I'm going to do this. And resources are
Okay.
available.
I think what it should be, because... Go on. Do you think?
I agree with you. I'm just typing it out.
Sure.
And putting the word in there.
Yep.
As a mechanic, you are a better MacGyver.
Okay. I don't think... I think what the power is saying is you're a better MacGyver. I don't think it should say that.
I wasn't going to type it out.
Okay.
How did you say it? What do you get?
you boost your chaos die, or you miss that die one step.
Okay.
So I would take out a little bit. Or you write the rule, and then we'll go.
Men making marbles.
Here's a question: do we want to have a feel of kind of an anime where it's like a person can build a working marvel? So this is more than MacGyvering, like a jury rig thing that could fail. This is a working marvel, like in anime. Boom, 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 but it only works for like one round or a handful of rounds before it falls apart.
No.
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 If that's the case,
I don't want DreadLore to be an anime.
if that's the case, then you cannot build a marvel on the spot. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, you can't build an engine on the spot. That's magic. And it's not magic, you just can't do it.
I'm gonna say swiftly and safely. It still is making a marvel, so it still takes time.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea is, you know which corners to cut to get it done, and you boost your mishap die. Like, oh no, those who taught you to sing while you're hammering? You don't have to do that.
Check
That's
this out.
superstition. Ah, indeed, that is better.
Yep. That way, boom, we got it. Right.
Okay. So let's do these. If you build it, nimble hands. The nimble hands of a maker can build the most complex components, assuming they have access to the proper tools. Ah! You can make any sprock for which you can obtain designs. That actually does make sense. It's the idea of like, it's almost sort of like eidetic memory for engineering.
Yep.
Like, or being able to play sheet music flawlessly on like your blind read, first read. What is that called?
A first read?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You can make any sprock for which you can obtain designs.
And materials.
And materials.
And necessary materials.
Yeah, that's in the first sentence more or less. I'll fix it. I'm more concerned about like indicating that there's no penalty for first read. That's fine. The nimble hands of a maker can build the most complex components, assuming they have access to the proper
I didn't
tools.
see that part.
I was making fun of the exclamation point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, it's saying you got to have the tools to do it.
and materials. Okay. So is that like 1C or is that 2? Maybe this should be 2.
Yeah. Okay. Before we order really quick, is blueprints good?
No, we haven't read it yet. Blueprint like memory. Blueprints. Who needs paper? The blueprints are imprinted in your head. You can manufacture any marvel that you have seen the designs before.
I think that's a good power. That's
It's
really
the
cool.
same as this.
It's not the same. In spirit, blueprint like memory is
Oh.
you have an eidetic memory.
Why don't we
Nimble
just
hands
make
is
it-
you can literally make it.
Why don't we just have eidetic memory?
We should.
Eidetic memory. Who needs paper? The blueprints
I love it. I think it's great.
in your head. You can manufacture any marvel that you have, for which you have seen the designs for which you have seen the designs at
you-
least once
yeah.
before. So this is amazing, and it should be the same rank as this. So this is 2A, and this is 2B.
Okay.
So we got 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, and trace.
3.
So that is that. That's done.
We got Journal of Weird Astronomy,
Yep.
and then we're done.
Goddamn.
But it's 11. Yeah, we should stop here.
Yeah.
Yep.
My brain is getting fuzzy.
This will take us an hour.
Just because it's so fucked up.
It's not that it's. I mean, it probably is fucked up, but.
Well, I just mean weird.
Yeah, it is weird astronomy.
It is weird astronomy.
So we need to go back and address some of these places. But for the most part, that's pretty good.
Did you already pull the?
I did not. I don't think so.
Oh, there it is.
Awesome. Yep. So, we almost made it through Theurgy, which is module 5. And that's awesome because sight reading, sans blueprints, sight reading, sight reading.
Mechanist.
Although it's
Ooh, mechanist.
Machinist. Like this.
Sight reading. Thank you.
Yeah, so we made it through module 5 pretty much. We have weird astronomy, which is actually my favorite Theurgic expertise.
It's cool.
It's essentially getting high and soothsaying and divining stuff like Guinan. Anyway, then so next time we're gonna bust into that
And then immediately start to tackle the bear.
and then get into Magicka, which is gonna be the bear. It'll take us 2. If we're on point, we can do it in 2. But man, it's gonna take us 3 sessions, I bet, because once we get down about 2/3 of the way through it, we're gonna have to start designing the descriptions. And destruction and words of power are like, honestly, there's a part of me that thinks we should take them out of the game. Like, they're cool. Destruction, I think we could do because it's so simple. It's just you blow up shit. But words of power, straight up, it's.
You also didn't think I could unify the circles with one mechanic for all of them.
This is true.
You didn't think I could do it, and I did it fairly easily.
Okay.
I'll put my big boy pants on.
You
it's
put on
fine.
your big boy pants,
Yeah.
and we'll just take Kavisla and throw it out of the window. Defenestrate the shit of those mechanics.
Oh yeah.
They're so bulky. It's one of those things where it's like
I'll be honest.
no one ever. We don't even use it.
I'll be honest. I never read Relapse's version of Words of Power, and the Kavisla and all that shit. I felt like I didn't know how much was in the book before Jacob got words, or what. But I thought it was cool.
It's a cool.
I just
it
knew
works.
he got to a point where he didn't need it or something. I don't know what the penalty is for him not having it.
He didn't really want it. So the thing is, Kavisla is one of those. So words of power, what they do is you get a word, which there is not what sortilege. So you get a word, and there's not an exhaustive list of them, and it's kind of like in the Chronicles of Narnia. You have a word, and that word, wherever you are, like whatever realm you're in, or what is it, underworld? Not underworld, underverse. I can't remember. And door has the word. Door can just open up anything. So she would have the door. She would have the word open. Words of power are creation obeys that word.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives incredible narrative control to a player or a person who has words of power. Normally, you're supposed to have a word. And there's 3 ways you can use that word. You have to go into one of those ways. So it's kind of like a multi-tiered thing, all with the guise of limiting, yes, but sort of corralling the player into being able to use that word in a way. It's not supposed to be used for killing things because it's so goddamn powerful. Like someone who has the word slow, for instance, which one of our players has, you can go nuts with that. You can literally slow down time. You can do all kinds of crazy shit with it. So it really needs to be honed down and defined because the lateral ability is so great. And one of the methods of doing that is a thing called Kavisla, which is, it's essentially like an item that has souls, like breath usage in it. So basically, your words of power are a loaded gun and you have 6 uses. And then narratively, you have to find ammo. That's what it is. It can work. It can work. About as well as the true namer in D&D works. Yeah.
It actually is more functional than that.
It's way more functional.
It's hard to be more broken than true namer. The problem with true namer is that it's broken in both directions. It does nothing and is worthless as a class, but it's so easy to make it OP at doing that nothing. Because much like fucking Majin no Maji's, what was it called? The Iijutsu Strike?
Yeah.
Iijutsu Strike.
Oh, God.
It's a skill-based class. So if the skill is what determines success or failure, in 3.5 it's so easy to break skill bonuses.
Oh, that dude was getting
So it's like
hundreds of...
True naming as a new skill. Great. I start capping it. I get like a plus 50 to my roll. Okay, I know the name.
But the thing is, you have to have one of the 2 items, or else it's worthless. So it's like, hey DM, I really need this, or else I'm worthless. So you take
the item familiar feat and start dumping skill ranks.
Anyway, words of power. It's such a cool color of magicka. It's really cool in this game. You're essentially singing the song of creation.
Cards, coins, lots, entrails.
But man, yeah, was it anthropomancy?
Yeah.
But it's making it actually playable is very difficult, and necessarily so. So I'm wondering if we just need to take it out. Whereas destruction, that's pretty easy. You pop shit. It's super OP.
It's honestly the most manageable form of magicka.
Yeah. Well, originally the very first, or my first idea for magicka in the crack system, so pre-DreadLore, which it's what DreadLore, proto-DreadLore, was magic destroys. It's unbridled energy, and that's what it does. And it was an attempt to get away from the high fantasy of D&D magicka, or magic, and where you can just do anything. Instead, it's like, mages are terrifying because it's this unbridled energy. In our mortal forms, we don't. Maybe you're more like a lightning rod than anything, and that is the circle of destruction. You're a lightning rod for chaos. What do? Destroy. That's it. Now you have some managing, like you can use it to like protect yourself or dismantle other magics or something. It doesn't have to kill, but you gotta like work up to that level.
I like the idea that magic is destructive, but not overtly so. It plays well in our world. The idea that magicka isn't problematic inherently. It's problematic because you've got a bunch of artists running around applying it however the fuck they want.
Right.
Or without any real oversight by someone who understands it.
Well, that's why it destroys them with the chaos die. So you see hedge mages that, they've got vestigial limbs and they're blind and shit. It's like, what is it, the a person who makes bomb, like a demolitionist,
Yeah.
always has like a mark.
Yeah. They're always bitten by their own
Yeah.
creation.
And so if you actually have that higher level of magicka, the only way you've gotten that is by, going to a school, having a master, and if you're enrolled in that college, you better be goddamn sure they have their eye on you, right?
Yeah. Well, there's that also that element of what other people deal with who aren't the ones slinging it around.
Right.
Like, cool. So these mining tunnels won't collapse, right? Like, no, it's fine. I got them held up. I was like, well, that's I'm saying the dirty word. That spell will only last for so long.
That looks like it really should fall. Nah, that's cool. Like, it's these ideas, and this is the reason.
I'm sure it'll last for as long as I don't forget it.
Right. Oops. So this is the reason why, like, in Craster, which is the world in DreadLore, mages don't run everything. Because magicka is inherently chaotic. You can't be 100% sure. Even the bestest of bestest mages can't be 100% sure that their spell is going to work or that their magicka is going to work.
Yeah.
As they predict. Also, most players, you have like a party full of mages, but really, it's like 1 in 1,000, 1 in 10,000 people could even potentially do it past hedge mages.
Yeah. It's like anytime you're bringing a mage on board, it's like, cool, so now we're all in a minefield.
Yep.
Great. What is this thing you're giving me? Oh, you found a new staff? You say it has a spell in it? Don't use it.
Yeah.
Let me run away. What's it going to do? Oh, you don't know. There's no way to know what's in there. Oh, good.
So, playing a mage is very, very cool, but you have to switch gears in your head from, I cast Fireball, because if you cast Fireball, in DreadLore it's called Combustion, because there is no Fireball. Instead, you just make shit explode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay, that's enough of our ranting. We're done.
We're out.
We're done for today. Thank you for hitting it up, Megan. The other people are not really here, but thank you. Thank you, Willow, for dropping in. And we'll be back on Monday to destroy some Theurgy and jump into magicka.
That's right.
Bye. Have to turn it off.